Turn it that way. Yep. Thanks. So good morning. It is Wednesday, December 7th, 2022. A day that, as we recite the pledge, let's remember Pearl Harbor Day 81 years ago. And after the pledge, Commissioner Darrell has a little bit to read regarding Pearl Harbor Day. So with that, we will begin with the pledge and start our regular meeting. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You.
Thank you, Judge Reynolds. I just thought I would take a minute to read some words. Today is the 81st anniversary of the attack on Naval Base Pearl Harbor, during which 2,403 Americans were killed and 1,178 were wounded. Despite the heavy casualties, there were acts of heroism throughout the attack as Marines and sailors reacted quickly to defend the base. Although 8 U.S. Navy battleships, 3 cruisers, and over 180 aircraft were damaged or destroyed, the survival of the base's repair docks, fuel farms, aircraft carriers, and submarines allowed American forces to rapidly return to operations in the Pacific theater. Just 6 months later, Allied forces would win a strategic victory at the Battle of Midway, turning the tide of the war in the Pacific. And appreciate everyone just taking a second to reflect on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Item number 2, agenda approval. I have no additions.
Do we want to just make a small addition to what Gloria will bring
Sure.
in and?
Yeah. We'll have an update from the tax department regarding the urban renewal taxing district that the city of Burns put into place. We had a little bit of a issue on billings, like not on tax billings, but on how funds were sent out, and she'll explain that to us. So we have it on the record. We'll put that under new business.
I move to approve the agenda with that addition.
I second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the agenda with one addition from the report from our tax department. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Approved. Item 3, approval of the minutes.
I move to approve the Harney County Court meeting minutes of November 23rd, 2022.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of November 23rd, 2022. Any further discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 None opposed. Motion carries. Minutes approved. Item 4, opportunity for public comment. Mr. Ball.
Just to comment on the SEAC meeting, since I know you were unavailable, there was a lot of discussion on monies that the veterans have available. I assume Eric knows about all on bridges and those kinds of things. Most of the meeting was taken up by discussion on what was happening in the winter and preparations for the winter time. So,
But there's gonna be shorthanded snowplow drivers.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
They being,
About
Yeah. Okay.
well, I'm
Thank
sure
you.
they'll put their priority here in Harney County.
Yes.
this might take them a little longer to get around.
Thank you, Rick. I appreciate that. I'm gonna skip over old business, go down to new business item A, in respect of our guests. And their time and traveling. So welcome, Treasure Valley Community College. Appreciate you coming out.
Absolutely. Where would you like me to stand this?
Wherever you're comfortable.
And with my back to people. Are you not leaving on the camera though?
Oh, I can take care of that.
Me one way or
I'll
another.
get one of you. There you go.
Well, thank you so much for having us. My name is Dana Young. I'm the president of the Valley Community College. Abby Lee sends her regrets. She is ill today, so she was not able to make it. So I'm her proxy. But it's so great to be here. Love coming down and just spending time with you and hearing about what's going on here. And being able to share information about Ridge Valley Community College and the education that we're providing here. We're so pleased to be selected as your education provider, and we have a lot on the program to share. Vice President Betty Alves is here, and he actually has the program. And I think Richard also has a few things that she wanted to share. And then sort of visit more and see what questions you have. So,
Great.
so with that, the Vice President of Academic Affairs, Debbie Alves.
Good morning. My name is Eddie Alves. I'm the Vice President of Academic Affairs at TVCC. I think I know most of you. I try to make the occasional trip to Burns to come down here for a meeting or two. I am not Abby Lee. I am not the public information.
So agree.
Not anywhere near as eloquent as she is, so I will do my best to just kind of share with you. We created a small report for you for the 2021-22 year. Again, we really thank you for the opportunity to come down and visit with you in person. I don't know about the rest of you. I really enjoy the in-person meetings as you've done around the rest of the state of Oregon. It's been difficult to have in-person meetings, so I sure appreciate coming to Harney County. I'm going to be candid in the fact that the report does not reflect what we hoped, but at the same time, I'm going to tell you it is really a mirror image of what's happened with community colleges over the last 2 or 3 years. I don't know if anybody here has children at their house, but throughout the state of Oregon, if you had 2 kids at your house during the pandemic years and the pandemic ended, you had 1 kid who would never want to go back to school again, and 1 kid who couldn't wait to go back to school. And if you talk to anybody across the state of Oregon, you'll hear that over and over and over again. And that's at some level, it's really what happened with us at the community college level. We have students who never came back, and that's really been devastating for the community college. And then we've been the outliers in the state of Oregon. We did not shut down very long. Our students were very loud, very clear about the fact that if you put us all in virtual classes, we're not coming. And so we almost the entire pandemic ran very small classes at TVCC, but they were live, and it was really based on the community's needs, and that's really what we're here for. We try to accommodate the folks that are there. You see in that report, and that report is really difficult. It's a report we have to submit to the state. We identify as Harney County student in that report as somebody who lives here in Burns or Crane or in Harney County that only take online classes from TVCC. It does not reflect the 27 kids I talked to this last week who are all up there on the main campus. So it is strictly their students that live here that take online classes from TVCC. That's the definition. So even back in the big days where the numbers were big, up to 30 or 35, that's a pretty big number if you think about just students that are here in Harney County taking online classes. But they have dramatically decreased over the last couple of years. Again, I'll quickly go over the data. The first 3 pages, page 3, 4, and 5. So you have enrollment, you have head count first, and that is individual head count. And again, there's other copies if folks would like to see those. There's individual head count, and then the second page is enrollment, and that could be a person who's taken 2 or more classes or 3 classes. And then you have FTE. FTE is the funding formula which the state pays us in order to provide services down here in Harney County. And of course, you folks are give us a little bit of financial help as well. So that's been great. I want you to know over last year, we spent an awful lot of money upgrading the facility. So I know we had a meeting back in March, I believe, and most of you folks, I think, were able to come over and visit. We have another advisory committee scheduled for January 17th. Is that right there?
17th, yes.
Okay, and so you'll be getting some invitation to that as well. But again, as you can see, the head count's down a little bit. The dual credit has been down quite a bit. We are now just going to talk a little bit about strategies that we need to improve all these numbers and kind of bring us back to pre-COVID numbers. Again, it appears over the last couple of years that dual credit has been down, and we're not really exactly sure why that is. Some of that is on one of the pages. You'll see the little state regulation of what the requirement is for a high school instructor to teach a college level class in the state of Oregon. We are super excited about the fact the state is now allowing us to offer what's called sponsored dual credit, in which I can find an instructor with qualifications who can sponsor a high school instructor in order to teach a dual credit class. And so we are piloting that right now. We have some math classes going in Burns. We have a couple of math classes going in Crane with folks who historically don't have the credentials that are required from the community college to hire them. So we're excited about being able to expand that opportunity. I know Mr. Medley over in Burns High School in particular is really excited about that. And you were just discussing before we came in some opportunities to expand welding, both here in Burns and as well as out in Crane. I understand Crane has a welding program as well. Stephanie Oster, of course, is our dual credit coordinator, and she's done a lot of that. I don't know if any of you had the opportunity to meet Rennie. I believe he was at the last advisory committee. He has been our outreach person for career and technical education classes. He's been working with a lady by the name of Abby O'Toole and Kaylee Davis out at Crane to expand some dual credit opportunities, as well as Miranda McFetrich. If you don't know, Travis McFetrich is Miranda's cousin. He's the other vice president of TVCC. And so that's really been a great ability to get some conversation about how can we do a better job of getting into your high school. So it's been very good for us. So we're super excited about the sponsored dual credit opportunities, the ability to get your high school students a little more college credit before they leave. Again, there's 27 students. I looked at it yesterday. They took classes that are from Burns, that are up at TVCC, running around our campus. And again, none of those numbers reflect those that are reflected in our main campus numbers.
Is that 27 a pretty good number for those that are there physically?
Yes,
From Harney County.
from Harney County, it's a really good, almost normal number for Harney
Okay,
County,
thank
which is really exciting for us. Again, you probably have all your kids, right? You have a flyer that's connected to that packet I gave you. We're super excited about GED offerings.
Yes.
We received a grant that allows us to expand GED offerings. We're going to do some down here. We're going to do some live GED classes down here. So that flyer is there. It will start on January 9th.
Yeah.
These are 11-week classes that will cost the student $40 for the entire 11 weeks. We will pay for their practice test. We will pay for their official test. I think the $40 is to have a little skin in the game, for lack of better terms, right? To make sure they come and feel like they're committed to doing that. So if you have students that you know have dropped out of high school, a lot of our GED students, I'll be honest with you, up at our main campus are older adults. They've never just had the opportunity to finish school. They were working on the farm, or they were working someplace and never did finish school and decided they want to come back and get their GED. And their employers quite often will give them a little additional money after they get the GED. So I'm assuming you have a lot of non-traditional students here that may be in a similar situation and it's open to everyone.
Are you tied in with WorkSource Oregon pretty tight here?
No, it's all Treasure Valley community.
But I mean,
Yeah.
letting them know,
Yes.
Yeah, I haven't contacted.
because I think
But
our
if you
person
would
over
just-
there is
Like,
pretty.
we're going to start slowly. It's myself and Jane roll up. So, if people want to sign up for courses, they need to do it ASAP, because we're probably going to, we're going to start slowly.
We
You can do it.
Step.
we can
I
do it.
mean, start, but
So Gretchen, if you have someone that can afford the 40, I would think, I'll speak for the Lions Club too, that maybe we could, that'd be something we'd be interested in, and you might be yourself involved with one or something.
Not as much as I used to be.
But I think if someone was to present that to us to help a person,
And we
Someone
do
we
a
would
waiver
definitely-
process for that. We
You
do
do?
a lot. That's very common at the main campus.
if you
If
want
you're gonna say, hey, I really want to take classes, but I don't have the $40. We have another form.
That's a good idea though, Judge.
But no, I appreciate the
Put that-
offer. Well,
Yeah.
listen to that.
I thank you. I think this is a big need here. I hope that's accurate, but I appreciate you getting on it so well.
Yeah, I want you to know during the pandemic, we had a handful of students down here taking GED classes virtually from us. And I'm gonna be honest with you, because of the level of instruction, it's quite often difficult to do that with somebody online,
Okay,
right?
okay, right.
I don't know about you, if you ever try to take a math class online, it is really challenging, right? Because you really need to sit there and write with them and be able to have them write and look at it.
Mhm.
And it's just the logistics of doing that online.
Okay.
But we've had 3 or 4 that we have here. So our hope is that, you'll have a decent sized group down here and learn that to make that move forward. I have a few things extra that I want to share with you. We have an ag and natural resource Harney County Career Day scheduled in March 23rd. We have some advertising out soon for that. We've already talked to a number of ag and natural resource employers, as well as Burns and Crane High Schools, who have all agreed to attend. So we're excited about moving that forward. Marcus Nichols, our natural resource instructor, is heading a day called the USA Jobs Training Day over at Crane here on January 24th. I have more typos than I really expected, boss.
Yeah.
And if you're not aware, USA Jobs is the way in which a student can apply for a BLM or a Forest Service job. And if you've ever been on the website, it is a bear to navigate. It's we quite often lose students because they can't get on the website and figure out where to go. So Marcus can go down and do an entire training out at Crane High School for that. We're excited about a CNA program down here in Harney County as well. You're probably not aware, I live in that world, but last Friday, the Oregon State Nursing Board approved the hybrid model for CNAs. So we are now able to do all the lecture instructional pieces online, which is super exciting. So we're going to do some meetings after this with hopes to figure out how we can do maybe some of the practical stuff down here so students don't have to go up to Ontario to do the practical stuff. But we're super excited that OSBN has approved that. And I actually interviewed a new instructor on Monday so that we can do some expansion. So I'm excited about being able to expand down here.
We have a nurse in our home health office that was a gentleman that was interested in trying to help.
Right.
So if we have his name or not,
With that.
Matt Cole,
Okay,
would be very interested.
Great.
It's where they see the need to.
Are the non-virtual aspects taught at the TVCC building?
They
or-
can be taught from the TVCC campus down here to down to the Burns building. So
Okay.
folks can go over to the building here in the high school and get their online instruction lecture portion of that. And then again, we're trying to figure out how we're going to do the practical hands-on application. But it's really go games changer for a lot of, the rural places where, like our MA program, we run a medical assistant program totally online. But we still require students to have to come on Friday nights or Saturdays to do the hands-on practical pieces. And that's challenging if you're coming from Burn, especially in the winter, right? We just rode that road and it's great today, but tomorrow may not be so good. So, so it's not the ideal situation if we can find providers down here that can help us, assist us with the practical hands-on pieces. That would be great.
to bug in there, I want to say that there must be something in the air with this, with the CNA, because I've had 4 inquiries in the last week. One was a walk-in and then 3 were phone calls. And so it definitely is something that is timely and needed. And there's lots of local interest. I think this is a good time to give it up.
Gretchen or any of you, please get on the radio.
Yes, I have an idea about that.
Harney County Live.
Yep.
Great.
And although I gave this all to you on paper, it's all, I will get it to you electronically. And then the last piece I have here is a wildland fire. Marcus Nichols is our wildland fire natural resources instructor. We just hired a gentleman by the name of Max Mayada. Max looks for the, he's a wildland fire, what's he called, smoke jumper, I believe. He's one of the highest. Hotshot, thank you. I was trying to grab the word. They're coming down next week to meet with Gretchen and figure out times and schedules to offer some short courses down here in wildland fire so that they can do the basic firefighter and the axe. I think there's a chainsaw. There's a couple of 3 or 4 courses. So your students and your local people who want to fight fires during the fire season have opportunity to do that.
Awesome. It says over spring break.
I did
Awesome.
try and get
Yeah, right now we're trying to schedule it during spring break so that high school students would be able to get that. And again, our next advisory meeting is on January 17th. Is of course in our building. Anyone's welcome to attend. But
I think we'll try it over lunch hour again. I may just do a doodle and make sure that works for some of our key people. And so that's a Tuesday, isn't it? I think that's Tuesday.
Yes.
Again, Gretchen's working with Sandy Porter, who's our livestock, one of our animal science instructors up at TVCC. We're talking about doing some seminars on. You want to talk about that?
Just something on that, we just started talking about this, and I also need to talk to some other people in the community, but we were, my involvement with the used livestock, we had some discussions about there needs to be more of a focus on education. And how do we introduce that, either, in a formal way or an informal way? So that's what I'm kind of starting to, investigate right now. And that would be, that would be used livestock or in people who are older or something like that. Yeah.
And then the last number of pages in that packet are classes that you can take here and Burns from TVCC. I think people forget. I think we're having some conversations about how we better advertise those so folks are aware they're available. And again, we are super open to suggestions. You don't necessarily have to make it to an advisory committee. Please feel free to send the president, myself, Gretchen, put the email and say, hey, have you taken a look at whatever?
Drop in.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead and drop in.
Drop in, yeah. Gretchen loves company.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
And then I also added a little piece. I'm going to ask the president to read it for us. We have new students at TVCC when they're there for the very first time, as freshmen. We put them in a seminar class. It's a welcome to college kind of class, right? Give you some introduction on how to navigate this whole new world if you've never been to college. And Sandy Porter, our animal science instructor, teaches one of those classes. And at the end of her class, she asked the students to write a reflection on what they got out of the class. And I put it in your packet, but I asked the president if she'd be kind enough to read it, because I think it's why we do what we do. And I think it's an important piece because we always try to remember to keep students first. And so.
And although the student is not identified here, the student may or may not be from Harney County. So this is the snippet that Ben Porter shared with our Vice President of Student Services, Travis McPetridge. This is what the student said. As this is my first year here at TVCC, I have learned so much as a first-time college student. I walked into college life having absolutely no idea what to expect. I'm the first out of my family to ever go to college. It was a hard adjustment at first because I was stressed out about how I was going to pay for school, my classes, gas, everything that ties into all of that. I was so nervous. I started to think, what if it's not for me? What if I can't afford this? Well, all of those what if thoughts came to a screeching halt when I finally started all my classes at TVCC and got comfortable with them. My first few visits with the college, I was preparing myself for my classes and getting all the essentials that I was going to need to start off my school year. I had the best help in the student services office. The advisors were extremely kind and made sure they were setting everything up for me for success. The financial aid ladies assured me I was going to get the help and packaging I needed to pay for college, and just everyone I interacted with such amazing help. They truly made me feel like I was where I needed to be. So that's why we do what we do.
With that, we'll stand for any questions you might have.
I did have two, three quick things to mention.
Sure.
Another thing that we will add, we can add still into our electronic report is because this is really important for Harney County, is we still offer the natural pesticide testing for the Oregon Department of Agriculture pesticide certification. So I know that the weed coordinator knows about that, and right now there's not very many people doing that. But and towards in the spring it was really busy, and the summer was kind of busy too. So that's something that's important. I also wanted to mention that TVCC has been working with High Desert Partnership, and I know that's Marcus has been doing some of that. One of the things that came out of that last summer was right before the fair. It was pulled together. There were two $1,000 scholarships offered through that TVCC High Desert Partnership. And Ty Taylor and Brendan Swindlehurst received the scholarships. This year we will have more heads up. We'll have a longer lead time, so hopefully we can get in more applications. But I have to say those two young men were highly qualified young kids, and I'll be touching base with them on writing an article that includes part of that scholarship the scholarship recipients. The third thing I wanted to mention was that, again, Marcus, participated in the High Desert Partnership Youth Summit back at the end of September. That was a really, really great, summit, focusing on youth opportunities and how to get your start in Harney County business and that sort of thing. Marcus ran a panel and I participated just as kind of as myself, but also I thought it was BCC, and it was really great. So I think there's some good things happening. I think Marcus is really going to be a huge asset to BCC in this in Harney County, as well as with Brenda is always cooking up something over there. But if you have questions about something locally, always feel free to reach out to me, drop in, give me a call, send me an email. Yeah, I've really enjoyed working with the TDCC in this capacity, and I think we're set to really boom forward in 2023 and 2024. Yeah, and I'm going to be one of the people doing the GED classes. And I didn't mean to say that we were going to, I said if we were going to start slowly, that means we don't want 10 students enrolled at once. Maybe for the first term, we'll do, 4 to 6 or something like that. But there is interest. And I think, we've got a waiting list right now.
So is on the, that's all great stuff. We're talking 11 weeks of Monday through Thursday in the evenings. Can they do do they have to do all 11 weeks or how does that work?
I'm gonna look at it's customizable, right?
Yeah, we've historically, again, we have a lot of adults to come in and they're I can only come Monday, Wednesday, great. Right.
All right, I was just gonna say, that's always been the challenge in Harney County for things, whether it's parenting classes or any other thing, is 11 weeks, 12, that people just can't usually commit consistently for that amount of time. That's been my experience.
Right.
So if there is a way to help
you
them
for
get
that.
some of it, even if they can't get all of it, that's great.
Yeah, we'll do some adjustments so people are aware of that as well.
I had a couple questions just to
Please.
show. So on the dual credit means high school and college credit
At the same time.
at the same time. And my kids have been graduated for a while, so I don't know how it is anymore. Do most colleges accept it? Do only some? Do any outside of the state accept?
Yes, so they're all accepted by all schools.
All,
So for example,
even private schools?
correct, even private.
That's
For
good.
public schools.
My girls took stuff and it wasn't accepted. They didn't go to college here in Oregon, so I just didn't know. That was years ago.
Yeah, so let me give you some dual credit background. There are some, we call them core classes that are really critical for high school students to pick up. In our world, we call them right 121 and 122. If you would go to Boise State, they're called Communications 101, 102, but they're the same course. Boise State will take them, U of I will take them, Eastern Oregon obviously will take them because we're very partnered with them. So there's core classes like writing, math, and a human relations class, like a psychology 101 class. Those classes are really kind of critical because they transfer anywhere. And if you take a welding class and then you go to Boise State and you want to be a computer science person, that may not go so well. Right? Usually in almost every degree, there's some room for what we call electives. And so that welding class may come in as electives. But
How about math and biology?
yeah, math and biology are great. Sciences are great. Math are
They didn't back in the day, but okay, good to hear.
I'm a father of 9, so almost all of my children have gone to college, and my parents didn't go to college, right? So I really stumbled my way through. But I've seen my children, I won't talk about your children, but my children decide they want to do this, and then tomorrow decide they want to do that. Because they were high school students, right? And so that's the challenge of dual credit, right? Is high school kid quite often doesn't know what they want to be. And so they'll pick up some credits, and quite often they'll get to a college and they'll say, well, I have a bunch of welding credits, but you want to do computer science. And so we can only take these and use kind of excess credits. So we work really hard to try to minimize that. But if the student's in high school taking an advanced English class, they need the English high school credit anyway, and we can give them college credit for that. That's a win.
And my daughter went to University of Portland her first year and then transferred to Oregon State, but her comment was, I wish I had done community college first.
Just the cost.
Well, you just don't really know.
Right.
And you have to get those basics in.
And my, one of my sons went to Treasure Valley Community College first and then transferred to OIT and, into electrical engineering and all of his credits. So,
Yeah, my girls were just so disappointed that they didn't count at their colleges because they found them challenging at the time. They went to Crane and it was kind of when it was all beginning, out at Crane at least. And so I'm glad to hear that it's progressed. Just does the Workforce and Talent Development Board at the state level or the Eastern Oregon Workforce Board, do those entities and what they do trickle down or connect with you guys in any way? And just off the cuff, any comments you have on that?
So I'm on the East Oregon.
Yeah.
Member of that board. And we work very closely with them in establishing what the key industries are in the region. Of course, right now, they're really looking at healthcare. That is number one focus of theirs. And we did manufacturing and healthcare were kind of our two main things that we've been focused on in the region. And they help us apply for grants, write letters of support. We've been able to apply to them directly for some funding for different things that we've done through our CTE program. And so, yeah, we're very connected to the Eastern Oregon.
Is there anything from the east side of the state? So I'm on the Workforce and Talent Development Board at the state level, and they're doing strategic stuff, artificial intelligence on these types of careers and things, which are all fine. But I keep my Harney County hat on at times, and I just wondered if I would rather see their money instead of so many studies go down to the workforce boards. And because our workforce board has so many counties in it, we don't get a lot of money. And in fact, it used to be that the counties would sort of say, well, it'll be your turn to get the $6,000 this time, or, there wasn't much money to do anything impactful. So anytime you have any thoughts on that, please let me know, because I wouldn't say I'm quite frustrated yet, but I'm getting there.
It has been, we've had some growing pains. I've been on this particular workforce board since inception and when it switched over. And we've had some growing pains trying to figure out our role. What's the state's role? And there are so many different entities at the state level, and trying to figure out, okay, how do we fit in to getting this money to our local districts? So, in counties, because I think we have 9, right? 9 total counties.
I
And
was thinking
it's-
8, but I don't know.
It's
It
just
could be
it
more.
could be 8, it could be that 9's in a different district. We don't.
Is
every time the state
Umatilla-
draws lines,
It's big.
it has a different county here
Is-
and there, and it doesn't match.
Is Umatilla still in,
So, yes.
or did they
Umatilla
leave?
Morrow.
I know they've been wanting to leave.
Well, they want to break
East,
up.
right,
Yeah,
because they
but
said
there's-
we need more.
They need more. Yeah, they're still in right now. And of course, we're having a shift with Bill Wilshot leaving, Aaron Carpenter coming in as the new CEO. So we're going to regroup, have a board meeting about just, direction, just look at our strategic plan again and make sure that we're headed in the right direction. And
I would like to see, this isn't your bailiwick, but agriculture recognized as a foundational industry, if you will. I mean, an absolute essential industry, whether it's low tech or not, you always see there are reasons for employment statistics to say, non-agricultural jobs, it's always non, but ag gets left out in the conversations that aren't just ag conversations, and it's challenging. So any leadership you can throw for thoughts that way to how can that, I've talked to our state senator and representative on that needs to happen. See if your colleagues might want to help work on that, because there's just no recognition of it in a way that can help sustain it for the future in a good way.
Right.
So
Thank
sorry,
you.
didn't mean to
Appreciate
be
that.
on the
No, that's
soapbox
fine.
here, but you're here and you know a lot, and I appreciate it.
And I know Aaron Carpenter is a big advocate for you folks.
Very big.
I spent a lot of time on the phone with Aaron, and we're currently working on a surgical tech program at TVCC. We're in the infancy of that. And all Aaron's conversation is, okay, how do we get that to Harney County? How do we get it to these remote places?
Thank
Because I'm
you.
assuming you have surgical tech problems as well as Ontario does, right? And so I think that Lucy should be aware. She is a very big advocate of how do we make this happen for rural places and just places that are distant. So
Well, I can say that everything you guys have presented us today in this very helpful report and what you've got coming up is just very wonderful. 5 years ago, we didn't have all this going on, and it is now. Thank you. Yeah.
the last thing I wanted to maybe share is we have a renewable energy grant. We just received that. Thank you to Mark Owens. He's been an awesome champion for TVCC. And so we're trying to figure out how we connect with your biomass place here. And I understand you're gonna have some connection to that. So
Yeah.
I will be in touch as well as we start to move that forward a little bit. Is there training needs that need to occur and educational needs that need to happen with that? So
Well, as
they're doing that as
As
well.
my journey ends here at the end of the month, I've taken a job with the Harney County School District 3 as HR. So I'll be the schools rep on the bottom. I mean, so it'll still work,
Great.
but that's where you'll be able to find me, and I'm sure our paths will cross
Yes.
much more.
Any other questions?
My only comment is on your career day, I'm really excited that you're having that, because as we work with the agencies here between the Forest Service and BLM, there's massive staff shortages, that does actually affect our agriculture industry. And so anything that we can do to encourage folks to take some of these career paths, that is careers that can keep kids in our communities. But I don't know how much reach out directly with our BLM and Forest Service you'll be doing prior to that to let kids know exactly what some of those fields are.
Yeah,
because-
we're gonna, when Marcus comes over next week, we're gonna talk about how we get the publicity out for those career days and for the short courses we will have that. I will say that yesterday I got a call out of the blue from the Forest Service in Portland, looking for opportunities to come and participate into a job fair. So yeah, we're gonna get that.
Yeah, that would be very, very helpful.
Just and have any aspiring pilots, we have a big swing program. They can be trained to put out fires.
Yeah, we thank you so much for your time. We appreciate the opportunity to come down and visit with you up person. Thank you.
And then this
The agreement.
agreement, yeah, you can get that to me and I will.
Bill Hart
Yeah.
has a question.
Oh, sorry.
I just, so looking through this handout that you gave out here, and then there's in the back, a lot of courses, for your traditional undergraduate programs. And then you mentioned some other programs such as the surgical tech, the CNA, and then I see on here EMT program and stuff. So do you have other like certification courses, certificate courses, not just your traditional associate's degree type courses, but like IT specialists or other types of non-undergraduate certificate courses?
We do. I just brought a whole box of that material. Gretchen.
I meant to, in the back of my mind, I was thinking I should bring out, what do you call that? Flip. Those little circuits, the flip thing that shows in the binder, shows all of the certificate programs. So I have like 5 of those, and I sent one up to Symmetry Fair, so they have a copy of that, but there are, and I don't know all of them off the top of my head, but yes. Short answer is yes, but I believe that most of those are classes you're gonna have to take 1 or 2 classes on campus. I'm not sure that there are very many that are 100% online.
Our cybersecurity, our computer science program, a lot of those classes are running online. Students can,
That makes sense.
pretty much do those online. They do have to have good access, have to have good internet access to be able to do it. But they can get Cisco approved, Palo Alto, they can get those certifications after so many courses. And I don't know.
Yeah, and we're trying to figure out, I think what we're struggling with is how do we advertise in a timely manner, right? So CNA, all of a sudden now GED classes are ready to go. So now what does that GED advertising look like? And I appreciate the feedback to say, hey, hold on, if I read this, it's Monday through Thursday, and maybe that's going to turn me away, right? So we're trying to work our way through a system of how do we advertise down here in Harney County in a timely manner. And we are morphing some of our classes, our computer science class in particular is quickly morphing to where you can do even your labs online. So we're working harder and harder to make that happen. We know sometimes, especially the career and technical education classes are difficult to do without putting your hands on stuff, right? And so how do we get the stuff down here? As a matter of fact, my computer science guy has literally built some big plastic boxes full of tubs of things that he said, well, we're gonna try this and see how it works out. So we're doing some testing on how we can expand to be able to do some of that down here in Harney County and other places.
Part of my question was about, you know, the adult that's returning to school. You know, not just the student that's going from high school into college and certification classes, but the adult, somebody who's wanting to upgrade in their positions and gain some more skills or whatever that helps them advance or whatever just in their current roles maybe, or somebody who wants to, you know, take on a new career in IT or what medical or whatever it might be. Is kind of where I was headed with that, you know, kind of dual purpose. But I will say, as I mentioned, as we met earlier, a lot of these opportunities weren't available when I was a kid in school, and you're a very valuable resource in Harney County, and thank you.
You're welcome. And again, part of why we have Gretchen here, we know, I mean, I know, so I'm sitting in my office, somebody's walking around the hall, I know, first of all, they've never been here before. You can just look at them, right? And it really becomes a conversation, right? Hi, what can I help you with? And I'm here, I'm not really sure what I'm here for. And a lot of them older adults, right? They're in their 40s or 50s. They, especially lately, it seems like they made some pretty good money because jobs were paying $20 an hour all of a sudden. And then they realize, I don't know if I want to do this for the rest of my life. And so they come wandering in, although they have a little bit of money. And it really is a conversation of where do you think you want to go? We have a system, and I'll make sure Gretchen gets this out to folks. It's called Career Coach. It's kind of a little assessment that students can do, and it really pinpoints them to what are your likes and what are your dislikes, and then it gives them some money. This is what kind of money you will make in those jobs, and here are some degrees that are offered at TVCC in particular that will help you get in that direction. So I'll make sure that link gets out to the group as well.
If you have high school students, juniors and seniors that may be interested in taking an online class or two, registration opens for college choice on December 19th. So we have a few of those. And that's pretty exciting. Good way to get college credit for $45 in credits.
Real good.
Yeah, we're probably taking up too much of your time, but we're gonna appreciate it.
Very interesting
Very
and
much
exciting. Thank you.
Thank you. Drive careful.
Good job.
Guys, yeah. Thanks a lot.
Thank you all.
Looks the thing. I can. Yeah, let's go ahead and sign. Yeah,
Is
you're
that-
here, so it's the annual.
Is there any changes from, I mean, I haven't seen.
So it's the 10,000 that we budget. That we passed through to, and it's all the same.
Are you okay with that, or do you want to take some time to read over it?
Well, I'd like to, I mean, I'm sure we'll sign it, but it just as a practice.
Yeah.
I
I
can
get
read everything over.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank
we'll get
you.
these. Yep. All right. No, Lindsay. Well, we're gonna continue under new business for a little bit, so let me get Corey real quick. Yeah, good job, just. a minute. Maybe.
Somebody there.
The Harney County.
Okay, well, that does. Move to item D. Lindsay here to explain RFP for consulting and general contracting services. Oh, here comes Corey.
Good morning.
So I asked Corey to come over, well, Karen, but Karen is home ill, so they kind of explained this, the little gaffa that appeared under the Burns Urban Renewal. taxing district.
Oh.
you know.
Don't assume we know what that is, please. say-
I'm not going to because I don't think anybody does. So,
Basically, a quick recap was more went into the fund, about 150,000 more to the city of Burns than it should have.
yes.
And so now Karen and staff have been working on how to right this wrong.
Is that a computer thing,
No,
a formula thing? How did that, how does that happen?
it was a miscommunication and it
Okay.
was
Okay.
a
that helps.
brand new program. So you have the city and then you have us, and we work on two different sides of how this thing gets set up. And so I think there was a lot of assuming, and I think there was a lot of just miscommunication on what
Okay.
numbers needed to go where.
Okay.
And so that's what happened.
Okay.
And so they put the urban renewal in place, and then our programmers plugged in the numbers. And we had nothing to go back and check to see if that number was the correct number, because the other people didn't really know what the right number was either. And then the person that put it into play is no longer with them, so it's just been,
I see.
A lot
No.
of unanswered phone calls.
it's a lot of,
Frustrations.
I see, okay.
but it's not, but it's no fault on either side. I don't think it's any fault on either side. I think it was a brand new,
Part of the learning curve.
yeah, it was a learning curve. And when you talk to the Department of Revenue, they just kind of chuckled. You know, they were like, well, the first year is always a mess. And that was
No.
their response.
Almost in
So-
every community that's done this, it seems like there's been a hiccup.
There's been a hiccup every time you go in and set one of these up, and they're all a little bit different, so you can't copy one county to another county. They're all just a little bit different. So, in,
So there-
Thank you. That's what I needed to
There
know.
was no, so what, the shortage is, so the other taxing districts didn't, that money that went to the city should have gone to them.
right,
So that's
so
gonna be.
ultimately,
Say that
Way
again,
more.
say it again, please.
So that extra 150,000 approximately that went to the city. Should have gone to like the hospital, Department of Rec. School district a little bit, even though school district not really part of the.
I think that was my cheat sheet on my desk that I was.
Urban renewal district. And so that's what's being worked out. Department of Revenue and Karen have been on the phone. For the city of Burns is aware now and understands.
So we have it in place, and so they are going to be refunding us the difference. So the total that should have gone into the urban renewal was $33,997.
Pretty much what was on that original form. That
Yes.
we got. The projections.
Yes, so that is the amount that should have gone in there. What went in there and what we paid them was like 187,000. Because. And your numbers won't come back if you use all the numbers, because we also have a potential refund going on right now. For PPNL and for Idaho Power, so there's $5,827 set aside that we have to hold. And not distribute, so. If you add that into it, it comes back to my numbers, and that's how I discovered it too, because I was trying to get my numbers to come back. So the city is going to return the difference. And then we will redistribute it out to what should have gone to the districts. So. And it was obviously the ones that were in the city of Burns that were affected by that, so.
And there were no, so people were taxed properly, their proper amounts. So they don't have to go back to all the tax.
We will not be recertifying the taxes. They will not let us recertify the taxes because the tax amount that went in was correct to the people. It was just in the distribution
I see.
where it was.
So that number that you plugged in is what created.
Yes, so that's what it was. So the beginning balances. In my confusion in this was, I was working on what we've collected and Karen was working on the beginning balances of what should go to the district. So I was like, these numbers aren't working, but they do work. And so she went and we have a fix on that. She is going to be typing up a narrative on the fix and what took place as soon as she's better.
So there's
So-
absolutely no disagreement on the Burn side as to this narrative. It's all getting worked out.
Yes, I
Okay.
haven't heard anything. I think that how it came to fruition, how we found out about it was the city came up here and we're like, no, we have these numbers and numbers. And what was happening is that they were talking about two different numbers. Two different numbers, and the communication wasn't getting out as to which number it was. So there was that miscommunication of what number they actually needed for the.
To achieve the 33,000 versus.
Yeah, that's a big
180,
difference. Yeah, it's a big difference.
And Karen,
So-
if she was here, she would tell you about her frustrations with them, return phone calls.
Yeah, and I know, I just don't want to go
From
there.
different people and parties that could have, there was.
Yeah, but there's that part. I mean,
But that wasn't
And I
necessary,
haven't
but it
seen
is.
any of
but
that.
it is-
Karen has done
it
it.
was- I remember being at 33 or 34. I
right,
can
so I
remember
just,
that.
it'd be make sure they have that as well.
Right, and so, and how we've dealt with it is that they will know the. Urban renewal will not receive any more funding for this year. We are capping it. We're saying, okay, you have your funding for the year. So they're getting their $33,997. And so we changed the rate for the remaining of the year, the remainder of the year, so that the new beginning balances will come back and that the correct districts will get the right amount.
In the future, when it's settled down, will they be getting their distribution monthly? You know?
Yes, so,
Upon,
so next year?
yes,
Next year, they will get it monthly like everybody
just like a
else.
taxing district.
Yeah,
Yes.
tax.
But they also, so there's different ways to do it. So the state. In other counties, some of them take it and they just pay it right off the bat. Just like we're ending up doing now. So
Right.
they pay it, they're done with it because you're not. It's not really, it's not a district, it's an agency. So it's pulling from the other districts and you're pulling off of the top of those to go to this fund. So they have found that it is easy for them to track to just pay that and be done with it. And then they distribute to just the districts for the remainder of the year. So that's, but like I say, every county is
Okay.
on how they do
Well,
it, and there are different ways to skin the cat, you know.
Well, that was a good explanation. Thank you. I didn't know anything but a blip, and it's totally understandable how these things happen. You know, it's unfortunate when people don't return calls and do what they should do, but at
Yeah,
least you
and
sorted
could
it
be
out.
Even the return calls still might ended up in the wrong number,
And
the way it
that's,
sounds, because every, like, Department of Revenue said, every one
until
is
they
had a.
came in, it really needed to be a sit down and not throwing blame in any direction, just saying it needed to be done in the same room. Sitting together saying, these are our numbers. This is what we need to come back to. This is what we should be getting. And there, you know, there just wasn't a lot of communication. But hopefully in the future, there will be.
It'll be front and center.
Yes. So,
Thanks.
so
Thanks,
that
Cory,
is-
appreciate it.
Yes, appreciate that. Thank you.
Now let's move on to Lindsay. And RFP for consulting services.
We're ready. Did that copy all come to the right email?
Yeah.
It did.
Okay, so we are ready to put out for bid our consulting services, and so what we would like from this person or company is that they can do some consulting for us with respect to getting us ready to order a building, getting us ready to plan the entire project, and then offer those general contractor services too, so that they are our reporting and anybody they sub out to back to them directly, and then the board, Commissioner Shulman and myself work with that individual or that company directly. So that's kind of where we're at, and we've gotten a few quotes back on buildings, and we all looked at them, and we're not qualified to evaluate these and make sure that they're up to code. So here we are looking for services to do that and move forward. And I'd like to be able to get this approved today, put it out for bid and close it by the 16th. Which is a quick turnaround.
It's very quick. Why?
Because we would like to move forward, it's gonna take somebody, you know, this contractor and consulting services. Be on the grounds and evaluate, they're gonna need to look for buildings in order, we'd like to have that done by them first. So that we can have it on grounds and ready to go when we are ready to break ground. So, it's 10 days out, well, 9 days, I think, 9 days out to the public and then back to us.
Well, I read it, I mean, just got it yesterday, and it's a good start for sure, but there are just many things that I think the county court needs to discuss. So I'm on the timing of trying to get it out there so quickly. I mean, are there some prospective bidders that are in the know that you think are kind of waiting for this to hit?
Yes, we've had.
Because we have to be very careful to make a request for proposal be truly open and, you know, follow the processes. And make sure there's no potential or perceived conflicts of interest of someone lined up to do it, you know, ready to go. So that's why I was asking why so quickly?
Because we're at that point where we feel we're ready. I've got 4 contractors that have spoken to us about this, and they're ready as well.
And is this the kind of thing you're hoping to contract as they get paid for the work they do over a certain number of months, and there's deliverables?
Did you see that?
That'd be a part of it.
I thought it was very vague, frankly, you know, through request for proposal. And maybe it's just not articulated.
Yeah, your administration is spelled out there on the back page.
There's a lot of things that I, as a member of the county court, want to have some involvement in. And
There's a lot of things I feel like we can't decide until we have this.
right, but when I look at, you know, and I tried to look for like a request for proposal last night that the only one that I'd been involved in before. And, you know, it kind of lays out, we're looking for a contractor to do the following, and it'll have verbs, you know, determine this, produce this, review this, whatever, over X number of months. Or, you know, you bid how much, however, you know, it's got more detail, so
Right.
people know what they can propose.
Correct, but we're bidding for services at this point.
So
Right.
that's what you're saying is what you will, you will come back to the court to approve the contract, and you'll see that detail in that is where you'll see it.
So this person is providing us services
it's like-
rather than products.
It's like when we do Eric's
Well,
bids.
I would I know you want to hit the ground running. And there's been a lot of work done at the Fair Board level on this, I could tell, you know.
But are you proposing a work session, Patty? Is that what you're proposing to go over this
I would
today?
like,
mean,
no, I would like, well, not today, but
why
I
not today? I mean, we do have time today to.
I don't want to rush this. I'd like the new county judge to be in place. I'd like the new county
He
court.
was
Been at our meetings.
at all the Fair Board meetings, and he's.
Well,
been
I just like to
provided the
take a breath.
document
It's
too.
not,
Okay. Can I
it's not
finish
great
now?
practice for me to get it yesterday and now vote on it today unless
All you're
it's
all you're
urgency.
doing is putting an ad out just to get requests of what,
And
you're not approving
And-
anything as
no.
far as work goes.
And this all goes to,
It'll be advertised in the Daily Journal of
to,
Commerce and all those places that. we
To our
typically
county.
but it
go.
doesn't go to the county.
It goes back to our
to,
county employee.
it
who
goes, it's a
Which
request for the Harney
Is
County.
the department head, just like Eric's the department head that receives things.
Just like
that.
yours is fuel.
So they're actually putting out the request for proposals for a consultant to
Consult
basically to do the process of overseeing
a project.
the job.
The
So,
cost.
And we do the same thing. I mean, we'll hire, the
So how
process
much-
of hiring a consultant is a lot less detailed than the actual contract for doing the actual work. So
So this person will be the one that comes back with the, we're going to do this by this time, we're going to do this by this time.
You know,
They're going
Cost
to
you
give
this
us,
much.
yes, they are going to give us the nitty gritty of the buildings because we're not qualified to do that.
So putting this out, you would get proposals back in.
Yes.
And then at that time, the county court can be involved in reviewing
Absolutely.
these, because it looked like it was just reviewed by the fair board. So
No,
maybe it's just little.
We
things
have
here and
it set, so the fair board has a public meeting date set to review them. And then be able to bring it back to the county court.
So it gives you the best.
there. That's good. Just,
And it's in the,
I would just appreciate when it comes back to the county court for each juncture.
Yeah.
That we get it as early as possible and that we can have conversations or work sessions as well prior to the county court day of approval, because this is,
voted on it last night.
I know you guys are crashing on it. I know you're working really hard on it, Lindsay. But
Trying to get you our information. as
I
quick as
appreciate
we
that, but I do feel the fact that I do read and think
Well,
about
if-
these
if
things. I do
there-
want to
if
just
there's
share my
dates
thoughts.
that you have to propose, that's why I say there's an opportunity to have a work session today, that we want to schedule that.
I'm open, but, yeah, I would like to go over this in more detail. But I want to slow things down, but I don't want to rush them either. If
Well, no, but
it
it's-
can
it's
wait
a
till
pretty-
January to go out, maybe it should. I don't know.
I don't feel there's any need to wait. I
Are
think
you
if you
guys-
have some direct discussions, we can go through it page by page. There's only a few pages
Yeah.
to go through.
That's
Because a lot of,
that's the agenda item. It's up for discussion. Let's discuss.
I think we should, maybe we should do it after we do our other business. I do have a noon Zoom meeting. Can you come back? No,
I'm sick.
I can tell you're not feeling great.
I prefer not to, but.
You can zoom it.
I can do that.
That's an option.
Yeah, I can do that.
But it is typical though that it would come back to our fair manager, and then the fair manager is our department head that would, so.
Well,
I don't have any,
I think,
I prefer it go to Lindsay and that she be the one that is navigating it between the fair board, having eyes on it, and the county court having eyes on it. I mean, that is her role as our employee.
right, she's gonna be the juncture of fair board and the county court. As the county court views not only the fair interests, but all the other community multiple use interests of the fairgrounds, and as we should. And of course, as the fiscally responsible entity for the payment of large amounts of money. And also just on, and we'll talk about it if we have a work session, but the restrooms by the Morgan Arena, the septic upgrades are listed as number 3 and 4. Is that because it's a priority, or are those just a list of things? Those are the kind of things I want to hear some talk about. It doesn't have to be before,
No,
This
that's
goes
a pretty
out.
quick discussion of
but
why.
I don't want to rush it now.
There is no rush. I think we can have this conversation very fluidly and help you feel like you're up to speed on it.
Okay, just
don't
knowing
think
I'm
that
gonna
there's any-
recess at noon and come back at 1, and we have other things on the agenda. It's up to you guys what order you want to do it in.
That would be just fine.
And this is not trying to push back on you, Lindsay. I hope you know, or Kristen, but
Well, no, but if you have
but
some direct questions,
I
we have
do,
direct
I do.
answers.
I mean, we've got in the future a justice center. Hopefully that we can be working on too. This is the first time we've had these kind of big projects. Yes, departments work some of them, but I mean, in the case of fairgrounds, I really feel the county court has a very big responsibility for it. It's a county asset. Yes, it does fair. It does
I don't
other
think
things.
Anybody's arguing
that.
that point. That's why we're all
That's-
here at the table.
That's why I don't want, that's why we will have the discussions. Maybe today if you want. Pete, how would you like to manage the next 25 minutes?
Well, everything else on the agenda is,
The stuff Jesse had brought prior.
yeah, and so the third time we've looked at that, I don't think that's gonna take any time. It's Dean's Round Advisory Council is a quick. Everything else is minute things we can do after lunch.
Okay,
We can at least start now and see how far we
Okay.
get, and then recess at lunch and.
All right. I would like the contracts to be county contracts. you can be the point of contact, but I think the county should be the entity that contracts for the fairgrounds work.
Well, the fairgrounds is the county, so.
Well, there's a little difference.
We are bringing them to you before they're approved or sent out, so we assumed that that was.
And the billing would be done the same through
Well-
county approval.
When we've done RFPs before, and when we have bids, they come into county court and they're opened up at county court. They're received, these types of things. So please tell me how you're seeing it roll.
What we're proposing is that the fair board would look at the proposals first to be able to bring it to the county court and say, here's what, and have the discussion, here's what we saw in these. Here's our opinion, and bring that opinion to us, and then we can look at them ourselves and either concur with their opinion or discuss what differences we have of opinion of those. Because they are a body that is tasked with
We
helping
are
with
gonna be
that.
working with them directly.
So we do want to work
We would
hand in
like to give
hand.
our opinion, and so we're gonna open them in a public meeting.
Judge Reynolds, when some of the fairground
There's a lot of stuff, I am keeping.
So my recommendation would be create an email address that says Harney County Fairgrounds at co.harney.whatever, or.
So you're proposing having Jeremy make a separate email
For this
within the
project.
county?
For
Yeah,
this project.
yeah, she
And it
can do
keeps
that.
everything on the server, on the county server, it's all,
Yeah, we understand. where
yeah,
you're going with
that's
that.
what I'm looking for.
No. She can have Jeremy generate something that's a 30 mil, like she's saying, she's trying not to get it intermingled
Yeah, I
with
know.
all the junk
I
and
know.
spam
That's
and
why I
everything else.
A specific
So
email
that's
for this
something
project.
Jeremy can tee up for her, yes.
Just remember when you're done with it. Close it out, because every email address is like $10 a month. Little-
Should be an archive, that's what I was trying to think of. The information that way can be archived through our own network and not an outside server.
That's fair.
Well, I do have some minor word changes if you want me to go through them, happy to. Start on the first page again. I was thinking it'd be Harney County and then request for proposal for Harney County Fairgrounds, but Pete, you might know best what.
When the
You're-
road
you're at the very
department puts
top.
them out.
Yeah,
do
I
you-
mean,
do you put the road department up there? What do you do?
We have our letterhead, I mean, it's the county letterhead. But it also,
Includes
says.
the road department,
Right, right.
yeah, I mean,
because that's the
Again,
department
I
that's
just-
wanting the RFP. It's not the health
I know, the
department, it's not-
fairgrounds. And some of this might have to do more with, how the fair board might see their responsibilities for the fairgrounds and how the county court sees it, but whatever. So, yeah, I'd like to see a county logo up there if you want to have both, okay. Consulting services and general contractor services relate to oversee Harney County Fairground projects such as, but not limited to. I mean, just the task, I guess that could stay. Communicating and the number 2 asterisk, communicating and consulting with the county court and fair manager on all major aspects of projects. I mean, do they have to come and consult with the whole fair board each time? I mean, I want the, I don't know.
Are
This
you
is not
just-
impinging your
Are
integrity
you
at all,
wanting
but
to
That's my job.
come to those meetings?
yeah, we have a job.
I mean, they're all public meetings, Patty. And so if you're wanting to have the county court at the same meetings as the fair board, that's something that we can do. It's not a big deal to have all parties in the room, so we don't have to have 2 separate meetings. I mean, efficiency matters, so that every time we're dealing with this consultant, we're not getting billed twice if he has to come present to 2 different bodies.
Well, it's also the reason we have a counterpart liaison on the fair board.
Yeah, I mean.
Well, we need to get full information,
Well, what
Or
have
have
you not
joint
had
meetings.
information on, I guess is where I'm driving at.
Well,
This is-
how quickly this was supposed to come before us, for one thing. Here it is December 7th. Yesterday, December 6th, we get the draft. It's on the agenda today to be approved today. And then it's supposed to close on December 16th. And, you know, when you put out a request for proposal, if you're really trying to put it out for fair, open consideration of folks out there who might want to try it, the shorter the time period you do it, the less opportunity there is for people to see it.
Not when we've had a lot of interested parties come, and if we don't have a sufficient amount, then you open it back up, just like what we do with other situations where if we don't feel like we've got enough interest, it's a county practice to open things back up. And we have that latitude to do that. If we only have one person apply, then obviously we'll put it back out and say, we didn't reach far enough. If you have 5 or 6 people apply,
And
then
there is
you can
a line in
proceed.
here that we can have the right to refuse
We don't have to choose.
all bids.
service.
Yeah, if we don't like any of them, we can rewrite it and put it back out. If we don't feel like what the proposals we got back were on cue. Yeah, if they aren't competitive, if they aren't,
I guess I would say almost, yeah, in short time, but it's a courtesy. Eric doesn't come to us and say, I want to put this proposal out for my fuel this year. He puts it out, there's a deadline, the packets come in, and we approve, and then we open them.
Yeah, but
In a
those are
February
ongoing
meeting, he
practices.
consults.
You know, this is a little different. I hear you.
I mean, it's, yeah, it's a bigger.
And I
You
think
know,
with the
but we-
RFP, I think that gives you the latitude of time frame. I mean, that's the only thing. If you were doing sealed bids. Or like say, asphalt oil, then we have to advertise it for a certain amount of time. But when you're doing RFPs, I think that gives you, and I don't know that for sure, but I think that gives you the latitude of, you know, that short span of time frame to be able to get the competitive quotes. Back there. I think that's all you require is to have 2 or 3 competitive quotes at that time.
This is gonna tell you how far your money's gonna go.
yeah, well, we don't know what
For
else we need to go ask for until we get this piece. And if we're looking at reaching out to some corporate partners as we propose, most of them do their budgeting the first part of the year. And so if we have some details to come back to them with, we can go out and say, here's where we are, here's where we'd like to get to. Are you willing to help us get across this line? And so there is some timing that we're trying to do with some people that we're putting feelers out to that might be able to come up with some additional funds. But if we don't ever have a product to take back to them and say, here's where we're at, who's willing to, you know, come to the plate and bring more to the table, we can't ever take those next steps of having those conversations.
How would you feel about extending the deadline on when the proposals need to be received by another week or 2? Or, I mean, are you just crashing that hard to try to get it done before the end of the year?
I would like to see what we get. I think that people are ready. And the contractors that have reached out to us are ready.
And these are local contractors for the most part, or not?
There's a variety.
Yeah, we have a little bit of everything.
Now you have several from Idaho, some that are local. There's been different interests come to it. And so you kind of need to put this out so you could say, because Pete has a channel that Carrie's always posted this type of stuff on, that'll be posted on. So it'll reach our normal network of individuals that we usually reach out to. And like I say, if we only get it back and we only see a couple of folks have responded, then you can always extend the date and put it back out there for another a week or 10 days, or, you know, like, we kind of got to test the water at some point and see where the interest is in this and how many know about the project. And I mean, we have reached out and talked to a lot of folks and tried to get the word out. And so is the Fair Board. And so we kind of got to test the water at some point and say, are folks serious about getting in and helping us get this consulting piece up and going?
Okay, well, let's do a few more word changes here. Okay, so if Lindsay can do her county
Is there
email.
anything else on the front? I see you have.
Well, I mean, you know, I was getting really technical, like once approved, etc. But I guess,
I know you're kind of hung up on, it's not just Harney County, Patty, but remember statute that the fair boards work under gives them a lot more authority or autonomy, I guess, than
Well, they're not trying to do anything in a vacuum.
No, I'm not,
You know.
that's not, I'm just
You know,
trying to.
no, and
I'm trying to
that's where
put
you're
Patty at
saying-
ease.
I feel like until
not.
there's more of community outreach, not just come to the board, that those aspects of the fairgrounds, which are the county court's responsibility overall as a county asset, have not been heard, they're probably going to say fine, but public health, emergency management, the federal agencies that do fire camp, et cetera. We need to
But
have.
that was done in this facility report. I mean, those partners were all reached out to.
It
at
needs
this
to be
stage of the
revisited.
game.
It needs to be revisited.
But we
for
use,
minor
we use
tweaks
this as a
before-
product for what we are moving forward with for our community
Yeah, that's what
outreach. And
need-
it was a very thorough outreach.
How did you outreach?
Rick, were you involved
No,
at this point?
That was Jordan.
This was Jordan?
This is when it was being developed, but if
But
that's
the-
what you're running with, present it.
It's.
Ed, that's
Plan
another
C.
conversation.
It's
Let's
Plan
talk
C
about
of this.
Company
It's
will have
what
the
we're
right to bid
pursuing.
on this and continue their work here, just like anybody else.
So let's go to,
Also, nothing's gotten in any better condition since that's been, so,
Yeah.
I mean.
that was a report. That was never,
Well, it's what we. based
it's something you
this
work with. It-
Concept off of.
That's
was
true.
What
It-
came from this, because it was,
That was
A
$30,000.
thorough
That was a
community-
$30,000.
is that posted on the web page, that report?
Sure, Jordan had it.
Let's
I
get
don't
that
think we did
posted
it.
so the public can look at that.
yeah, I
That would
mean,
be
I
great.
would strongly encourage the public to see what work has been done, because the fairgrounds did spend a sizable amount in getting a product so that we could move forward, and this is a direct
So
result of.
can we get that posted on the
that.
county? Does the fairgrounds
Well,
fair?
Lindsay would be the contact.
Where
for
are you
posting.
on, where are you on the county website as far as the fairgrounds?
Under county services.
Under
when you
county
drop down.
services?
No, I-
Didn't it?
I was trying to find it the other day and I couldn't find it. Okay,
Links, I know the new website, definitely.
that should go on the county website
Well, we
or
broke
yours
it
as
out on
well.
the new website, remember
Yeah.
when we, it'll be more.
I don't know. I
accessible on the new
I just went
website
to
design.
yesterday to, or,
I don't know.
on-
if the
online and
You
looked.
can also type in or Harney County Fair or Harney Fairgrounds.
whatever.
And then
Who,
we'll go straight
who
back.
can make that happen, getting that on the county
Well,
website?
I shall communicate with Cindy.
Cindy, yeah.
Thank you. That'd be great. All right, so on the third page of the request for proposal, so there's two places on, on the fairgrounds manager, which change the email. Are you thinking for scheduled timeline, install indoor building and lean-to? Do you think prior to September, or should you make that August? I mean, isn't that running in close to fair? I don't know. I'm just. Fair is in September, usually
is.
toward the beginning.
It is.
You want to back it up a month? I don't know.
Prior to September 2024, the line you're looking at.
Yeah,
Prior to
Prior
September,
to
which would be
September.
August.
Yeah.
maybe I'm just. Had a lot of life experience, but things slip, timelines slip. For project proposal expectations, Harney County shall award the contract. Harney County, wherever it said fairgrounds, I think it should be Harney County awarding it because it comes to us for approval, right? Everything you say
Well,
you're
it's
gonna
in
bring
the-
to the county court.
In the Harney
Keeping
County
us-
Fairgrounds is the county. I don't see the divergence between the county and the fairgrounds. Cause is
Well,
it the,
these are capital improvement projects and we don't do those very often and it's.
was it different like when Suzanne went out for bid? Was it the emergency management versus the county and her paperwork?
I don't know. She was seeking grants. When they came in, where did they go? I'd have to ask Pete that.
I mean, we're all the same entity. We don't operate separate from each other.
Everything legally comes under county authority. So. I mean, you could say Harney County Fair Board, but the Fair Board will have the
Well, that's
blessing
why
of the county
we were
court.
keeping it as the fairgrounds because.
Yeah.
It is the county's fairgrounds that's owned by the county. There's,
So is the fairgrounds something that can award a contract? That's how this reads. Harney County
Does the road
Fairgrounds
department
shall award the contract.
award contracts, I mean. 'cause
The
it's a
fairgrounds is not a
of the
department.
county.
You have, there's no department word written there. It's the Harney County Fairgrounds shall award the contract.
And I'm just trying to think of how I word things, and I typically use Harney County Road Department.
So which is
So
the,
maybe it'd just be Harney County Fair, leave grounds out.
okay, I mean, something, we don't have a fund called, I don't know, make it be the correct,
Just make it fair. Because fair, board works in the, we'll be working under the blessing of the county board.
Yeah, wherever we put the fund for this proposal, whatever fund that is,
Fairgrounds.
is it the fairgrounds fund?
It's
So that's, I mean, that's the fund where we'll be paying this contract
all
out
money
of.
then.
And so wherever that materials and supplies line is the proper one to attach to this.
The fairground or the 30%.
so on the name of the company on the scope of work, figure out what. Make it consistent and you choose the right word.
So is this RFP, my understanding is very basic here. But we're going out asking for people to submit a bid for these services. So having that in mind, my perception of this is that there's really nothing in this RFP that's binding on the county.
Correct.
So once an individual is chosen to provide these services, that's where we need to be more critical on the language and who's the responsible parties, et cetera, et cetera. This just serves as a kickoff to get it going.
Exactly.
Okay. I myself, you know, because obviously the discussion here would rather have more time to review these kind of things myself, if it were I at the table. But I think there's enough here to work with to get it going today, really. With that in mind, with that in mind, this is not a
Yeah,
binding
this is a
document.
starting document and it will be reviewed by the legal counsel prior to her posting.
I can
it.
advertise.
You know, but we wanted to be done with our edits before we propose it to the legal counsel. Because the fair boards looked at it, the county courts looked at it, so what we want the legal counsel to look at would be the work from those other bodies. So they're looking at, this is what we're proposing as our final product. Do you see anything else?
I think that the verbiage, and I haven't seen it, but I think there should be a verbiage in there at the end, basically can consider or refuse any or all bids.
So we have that in there.
Harney County Fair,
Once you have that verbiage in there, you're.
Yeah.
Like Bill's saying, there isn't anything legally.
No, it's like, say, it's
You're
kind of our
obligated
ability
to.
to get some products back and be able to evaluate
that's when the group
where,
gets critical.
what are people seeing as their role as the consultant? Did they see the full picture? Are they missing pieces?
I understand Commissioner Dorrell's concerns and I.
No,
try to do things properly and make sure we do it right and to get all of our on the same level.
well, I appreciate your comments because now I'm more comfortable with moving forward
But I
today.
think, I think based on that idea that there's nothing binding here
Right.
that we're saying.
No, we're just putting something out so that we can get something back so we can start making evaluations of it.
It's an application.
And all I would ask is,
Are
if,
there
when
any other
possible,
edits?
please. Well, I think we should,
If you had any other, things that you caught.
well, my concerns also are operational concerns such as the fact that the sewer and the infrastructure stuff that isn't related to the new building or if those are
Well, some of
third or
this,
fourth priority, but if those are not,
well, some of
we-
this is encompassed with the barn being put up, so you'll also be taking out the old 4-H bathrooms, and so in place of that, there will be a bathroom and septic upgrade that will be encompassed in this project.
right.
But this is
these are
other
operational
general,
information.
other general septic upgrades, if any are designated, if there's any funds left over to try to go address. But in conversations with the plumber that has worked at the facility the most, he said there has been quite a bit of upgrading along the way, and so that he didn't have anything specific to propose to us at this point that needed
See.
addressed, other than the things that we're already taking out, like the old bathroom that was taken out by the, stalls. It had a lot of issues. If you upgrade your 4-H building to a new bathroom, that cures quite a bit of problems there.
And when we, and I need to revisit that report. That's another reason I'd like it to be online so I can look at it. I don't have my old copy of it anymore, I don't think.
Carrie had copies in the office as well.
I could ask. But
I know
it's there.
she made them for me as well.
But yeah, I'm not trying to micromanage, but I gotta say, you know, I keep hearing about cultural center. What does that mean to
It's
the
a
fair
cultural
board?
Center at a fairgrounds. So
What
it's
does
the
that mean, the culture?
culture that goes on at a fairgrounds? So you have a lot of things that go on at a fairgrounds, between livestock exhibits to vendor events to the powwow. I mean, how many events did you have at the fairgrounds last year? There was 82 events that took place at a fairgrounds.
And one of the
It
things
brings a
about,
lot of different pieces of culture between all those 82 events.
We have an education fair scheduled for the spring, so we do have a lot of things. And we can really use most of the time.
Grant was also issued under a cultural
Center.
center. Terminology, verbiage, so.
who might have that right up? I'd like to just be aware of what
It's
it.
what I gave you.
Oh, there wasn't,
That was
That's
it.
what
It was.
that's what I meant. It was
simple.
brief. We
It
got
was
the
very
money, it's
brief.
great, but
Well, I mean, we worked hard to get this so that we can take the work that was done here and try to move it forward. I mean, that was the whole purpose of me going out and working with our legislators to try to do this. We know that we may need a little more funds to marry with it, but until we have these next steps in place, we can't
We
really
don't know how much.
see
yeah,
that
just
extra
how
amount
much.
of what that might look
Gotta
like.
know what's involved.
right.
I mean, those other projects that are on there, if our funding doesn't happen to cover those, we know that we can go out for funding for those. And as soon as we know that, then our timeline to get those fundings extends quite a bit. So
Lindsay's also been able to secure a grant to help upgrade the whole sound system throughout the grants. That is a completely separate pot of money from these other
Right.
pots. And then there's also the award of the Biz Harney grant
we're stalling.
for stalling and other improvements that we might be able to move into round 1 instead of round 2 on. And so, you know, she's working every avenue she can for finding.
She's doing a great job.
grants.
You're
Yeah, I
doing a
mean,
great
it's a lot
job,
of
Lindsay. I know it
activity.
might feel like I'm putting you against a wall here, but I'm trying to do my job here. From this perspective, who is not a member of the fair board, who doesn't go to all your meetings. I try to zoom in and to think about the fairgrounds as a full community resource. So that's,
You know,
that's
just so you know, I would really like to get Suzanne settled, you know, now that she's kind of got some of those communications grants that she was working in detail on. To turn some focus on, okay, now that we are making some improvements at the fairgrounds, what does emergency management have to bring to the table too? Because we all know that there will be an emergency that occurs in this county. And if the fairgrounds is our staging grounds for that,
Which it is listed as.
it's listed as, so we
it
need
is.
her to come to the table in a more direct manner moving forward. So that we can say, in the case of emergency, these facilities can also be used for X, Y, and Z. For what kind of staging, what would you need, you know, in these buildings for that? And I think that that's just kind of, you know, strategic planning into the future and in general, but you know, she has a lot of access to federal grants and other things that I'm really hoping to draw her in and get her working.
I
more closely with
apologize.
the
I need to
fairgrounds on
excuse
that.
myself for the Zoom meeting I've got, but I'll be back at 1 and I am comfortable moving forward. I appreciate the dialogue and I hope that
Can we get a motion to accept this?
Yeah.
With
I
the
ma-
changes noted.
I make a motion to approve the Harney County Fairgrounds request for proposal as discussed.
I second.
And moved and seconded
Thank you.
to proceed with the Harney County Fair request for proposal as discussed. On favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. None opposed. I think you're approved. I would take grounds off, just there, we're just making our hand fair. Let's go to lunch.
Back at 1.
Back at 1. So we're gonna have to make sure you get it to the paper today. Before
Yes.
Friday. You're gonna do that, so that
One of the options. And consulting services, which is basically what we're putting this out for. So it's this company has the opportunity to take that next step and be the consulting service.
It is 1:02 and county court is back in session to resume our meeting. And we will start with old business. Number 5A. Ordinance number 2022-06. Implementing the authority to enforce an on-site wastewater treatment system management program. Delegated to Harney County by the state of Oregon. We've had a lot of discussion over the last two meetings. And fine tune this document. With the help of legal counsel, Jesse. Thank you for Jesse's work. She did send us an email this morning, but she's in Grant County talking to them about theirs today. So if you saw her email.
We did. And I did compare all the different versions and they look good to me.
You said there was just one place where we needed a line. I had not noticed.
Oh,
That signing line.
that's on the fees.
Oh, that's on the. fees.
Yeah, that's on
Okay.
the,
I hadn't.
that's the general, it's not
apparently
on
looked at
this.
the line for. Okay.
No. Although I will just make my nitnoid comment that in the documents, they changed, usually if you have a section that's a number, then it's got to be letters, and Jesse changed them all to numbers. That's fine with me. I'm just saying.
How did, so on our
That's
other
against,
ordinances,
the normal ways of doing documents, but I don't care. But being that I had to do that stuff in past life, I like, why did she do that? Okay. Let's go for it.
because it doesn't change any content
No.
with the way she's numbered it, is what you're saying.
No, it
in the
doesn't
big
change
picture.
content, but for some reason, I think because when
But-
people orally say section 2,
But
number
are
2.
these ordinances referenced somewhere else where the previous letter designation would be their reference point though?
All I know is the first version had letters and now they're.
Like if there's any other documents that reference back to this
wouldn't
ordinance,
know.
and it
I
would have
wouldn't know,
been
Kristen.
section 6A is the reference. That was
Yeah.
the only concern with changing.
That would just be
it.
something to ask at some point, but the content sounds good. The changes that we all heard in discussion, and I tried to look at what the
So these-
lawyer also.
If it just
Did-
refers to the ordinance, but if it refers to something specific within the ordinance.
Correct, that's a
where
good
it would
point.
Be a
I don't know.
problem.
Well, this,
Don't know the
so this
history.
is the ordinance in bold, so this is a piece adding to an ordinance, so.
But the one that amended the nuisance ordinance, for instance, the nuisance and abatement one, I mean, what the ordinance before us today on that one, it's an amending an old one, so that one you might want to figure out if that's
An issue.
an issue. In fact, I got all the old versions here in case there were questions. Let's see. This is Jesse's.
I'm
This
trying to think
is-
if I saw that anywhere in them as I. Here.
Here's an amending, here's an amending. That's a good point.
That.
I don't know.
my
I
concern
don't
with
know.
That particular change that you mentioned, because I hadn't noticed that. Yeah,
She went from 16:1, and it's usually 16.
yeah, if something was to reference section 16A and now it's 16:1.
Gotcha.
You usually separate numerals, alphabet, numerals.
Exactly.
alphabet.
You use the alternate. If you've got a number here, it's gonna be a letter, and then it'll be a number again under another subsection, and it's for clarity. I just didn't know why she changed them, but I know my little mind appreciates numbers more than letters on those lists, but I didn't know.
Yeah.
Perhaps she wasn't aware.
Well, and it'd be a minor change to propose that we could still approve it, but change it back to that, just in case there was a.
Yeah.
Like, I don't actually know what would reference back to it, but potentially there could be something.
But the content is
I mean, it
good.
does reference ORSs, but I'm not seeing it reference any ordinances
Yeah,
to each other, but.
So like on 7 here, you have numbers, then a number related to a letter.
Yeah, because you're saying it should be 15 A, B, and then
Yeah,
1, 2, 3.
At some point, I could see she was starting to change them all that way, so, you know, the ones that had red lines, I was like, okay, someone is changing these. And I was kind of curious that the attorney didn't point that out, but I guess they figured it's not a rule, it's just a,
It would just go to whatever kind of standardization. that you- Most of your major subheadings are Roman numerals, and then it goes to, most of the time, then it goes to an alphabetic character, and then a number. And then, like, so it'd be a capital A, 1, and then small a, 1.
and whether Roman or other numerical and stuff, that, I think you're right, I'm not clear, but it's always been number, letter, number, letter, number, letter. Whether they're capital and small, you know, in the hierarchy. So whatever you guys think, I don't know, but I feel comfortable that the verbiage, the changes that we discussed in open in court and were cleaned up and addressed. So I'm comfortable with the content for sure. It's a lot of work and it's nice to have it done.
Just seeing if there's anything that I catch as I scan back through it that
Yeah.
reference back to something specific.
References within the document.
Right. I almost saw references to ORSs, so. If we were to change something back, at least it wouldn't affect. The reference, if the reference had been changed to the current format. I mean, if you want to be consistent, I think that'd be a minor thing to ask them to
So the third one,
standardize.
Zag or
No, I think our legal counsel tends to do
yeah,
that.
your ordinances should all be standardized. Some of
That's
them-
true. These
Yeah,
are,
I
these
think
are
it'd be a
our
minor
few
thing to
legislative
ask to
things
be-
we do is through
Goes to-
laws that we do.
It's, in
It's the only level of law that we enact.
my past, it just goes to professionalism, having all your documents look the same. And in my past world in law enforcement, if you have things done one way and things done another way and you get called on the stand, which this is not gonna do that, but
No,
an attorney will pick you apart because.
but
you
it's
do the same thing.
consistency, yeah. No, I think for consistency, it'd be a minor thing to, you know, like say, do the main approval, but then with the request that the standardization.
Who would follow up with that, you think, with our current state of things?
I will follow up. Either with, I can do it myself or. Maybe talk to Susan. She's sick. I'll make sure it gets done.
When the
Maybe,
boss is away.
Tammy, it won't take long. But I can get it done. So let's approve, sign the pages. Well, the two of us will figure it out. She's helping us with agendas and getting stuff out. for the rest
Thank
of the
you.
month, So
Yeah, I'm good.
we'll get it done.
I'm good with that approach. I think that's, these are the type of things that at department head meetings in the future, just point of learning in general for department heads,
Well,
et
if you've
cetera.
ever had an employee go into that much in-depth work on an ordinance.
You never know.
I know, but yeah,
No, it's, as we're bringing this new piece on, it's good to see
involvement.
all the things that come along with it.
Okay,
Okay, so let me find my agenda again.
I commit to myself and Susan. Maybe I'll do one, maybe you do, or I'll do two, maybe you one.
So we just,
Number 6.
number 5A, is that what we're on? Oh, you're talking
Yeah,
ordinance
right.
6.
Yeah,
Okay,
5A, yeah,
sorry.
you're right.
Let me find it.
If the court doesn't mind.
I
have
printed
it
them.
Here. we need somebody to-
Front to back. Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean,
Available.
yeah.
Yeah. Any of us, we'll get her done. I think that's the main point.
Okay.
So we need to get, so we'll sign, but then before we have it recorded.
As long as your signature page doesn't have any elements on it that would be changed by the numbering, labeling.
06 though. Just section numbers.
Right.
08 doesn't. Just section numbers. More than 07. So we're good. Yeah, so before tag record.
Oh, I think the 09 does though, because it's section 4.1.
Well, so.
09, where it's
that's
not
what we got
before us
to
at the
anyway.
moment.
And we need.
And we need it, that has no date on it.
That's what that, so.
So that'd be an easier one to quickly fix, because everything.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned it before the meeting started in case you wanted to
So we'll make those
get
two.
that done.
Just,
Can we come in and sign them after it's been done? Just.
Sure.
I mean,
It's just approved on the
it'll-
record then.
yeah, I think that's a better practice than.
All right.
So is there no 7 somewhere?
There was no changes to it from the last meeting, so it
Okay.
wasn't in your package.
Okay, but.
It
Okay,
was
just
the
make
one
sure.
that-
Okay, so it's,
Adopts the.
okay, when I printed it off, I just.
And I'm being
Oh, yeah,
quiet
they
so
can be-
Kristen can make the motions. If any.
Okay, I will move to approve ordinance number 2022-06 in the matter of implementing the authority to enforce the on-site wastewater treatment system management program delegated to Harney County by the state of Oregon.
I second.
Moved and seconded to approve ordinance number 2022-06 in the matter of implementing the authority to enforce the on-site wastewater treatment systems management program delegated to Harney County by the state of Oregon. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
I,
And opposed. Motion carries.
Okay, I move to approve ordinance number 2022-07 in the matter of establishing and adopting administrative hearings procedures for assessing civil penalties for violation of county ordinances.
was it ordinances or just that ordinance?
Ordinances,
Okay,
it has an S on it.
okay. I second,
Yeah, 'cause it could be different words.
I second.
Been moved and seconded to approve ordinance number 2022-07 in the matter of establishing and adopting administrative hearings procedures for assessing civil penalties for violation of county ordinances. Those are gonna be different.
Instead of plus.
Yeah, I was just looking at the agenda.
Yeah.
Had it
says
singular.
ordinance.
Yeah.
All in favor, by saying aye.
I,
Not opposed. The name call for the discussion. Okay.
okay, I move to approve ordinance number 2022-08 in the matter of amending 2021-03 and enacting an ordinance defining nuisances and providing for their abatement.
I second.
Been moved and seconded to approve ordinance number 2022-08 in the matter of amending 2021-03 and enacting an ordinance defining nuisances and providing for their abatement. Any further discussion? Here, none, signify by saying, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
and opposed. Okay. Motion carries. So this one, we need a date line
We need a dateline and then just the number changes at
for,
fours that we went with.
so it needs to be, the one needs to be
So were you saying
B.
A's instead of numerals? Would come after?
Yes, that's correct.
an A, B, C.
Did I miss anything? When I left?
There was a brief discussion on whether we're gonna hold an executive
And are we,
session and.
you mean today?
Yeah, the individual came up to make sure that we were still holding it, so.
So we are.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're not teasing me.
So Congress is in a continuing resolution. Hold. That was part of the Zoom meeting I was on. That was one little tidbit.
No, there's some stuff with Congress to discuss when we get to general deliberation that are
It'll be coming to us,
some painful updates.
Okay, okay.
so I don't want to wait, or if you want to go ahead and make the motion.
I'll go ahead and make it with the.
Okay.
I move to approve resolution 2022-09 in the matter of an ordinance amending Harney County's uniform general fee schedule for various county departments established under ordinance 2018-81 and clarifying declaring an emergency.
This is the general fees schedule,
So
anytime-
it's all this.
So remember,
right? No,
we put them all into one place. So
that's correct. And I just thought because Jesse Barnes did write a good email this morning. That just perhaps just read, if I can even find it, her recommendation, because it sounds good to me. Maybe you can find it, Christina.
this page is what they're gonna hand out to customers,
Right,
is what it was for.
right.
And the pages look like this was just in line with our Excel spreadsheet for all of our fees.
Oh, I think I found it. So,
It's in here.
yeah, so basically, concerning the fee schedule for health inspections is up for adoption. That's what the change we're
That is our
looking
change.
to adopt includes this stuff.
It's the addition of this.
Right, and it's for those things related to the health inspection stuff. It is the same fees that are currently being charged by Grant County for all health inspections. It is also the same as the state fees. And Jesse recommends to the county court that the fee schedule for health inspections be the same as what has been charged in the past by Grant County. And I see no reason not to go along with that. Sounds like a solid recommendation. So that's why I
Folks, some consistency.
Right, just want to get that in the record there. So, did you already make a motion, Kristen?
I did.
Has it been seconded?
No.
I second.
Been moved and seconded to approve. Ordinance number 2022-09 in the matter of an ordinance amending Harney County's uniform general fee schedule for various county departments established under ordinance number 2018-81 and declaring an emergency. So the emergency on this, because these statements belongs need to go out immediately. Because they are due January 1. So. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Let's see a typo.
Oh, there's an H.
If you
What did
look
it
at
say?
if you look at it too
Warehouse.
quick.
Okay,
You know what I understand what I'm saying here?
Yeah.
Somebody could yeah, that could not be good.
That would be a minor
Yeah.
change.
it was an A, not an.
That's my.
Oh.
That's what I'm trying to point out.
It's.
Somebody looked at that too quick, they were. Moving on. New business item B, Stevens Mountain Advisory Committee candidate recommendation. So Katie. Callie, so she pronounces it. Wilson has been on the SMAC. She's putting in for reappointment. He's been served up to 2 terms. It's one of the 4 that the county court approves. Recommendation, I would, if the court approves, I would write a letter. To go in with her packet. As a grading committee spot, there's 2 grading committee spots, the commercial rec spot that I'm on and local environment.
Who are those other folks that are on it, if you
I don't
recall?
think the local environmental positions filled. I just got my appointment 2 weeks ago for my 2nd term on. It's been what, 9 months ago we did it
Right,
for
right.
the commercial rec. And that's not tied to county court. That is because of my running camp
And
connection.
this individual and the supporting documents show, you know, I would strongly support to reappoint. But I'm curious, is the Steens Mountain Advisory Committee, it was a strong thing when it first was created, and now we can't even fill slots. Is what's happening with it?
Been terrible. So I got a phone call last week from Jeff Rose, wanted to know if I got my letter. I had. He said they're looking at a meeting in February, if not maybe March, but they will have a forum for the first time.
And these require federal involvement, and that's what really,
All gets held up back in these.
wow.
So there's movement on it. Looks like we're gonna have a forum for the first time in 2 years.
Wow.
So hopefully it gets going again. I can't promise, but. We all want it to.
Before it became somewhat inactive, what did it accomplish, if anything?
Some more of a recommending authority to BLM. They can't
Yes,
They
they
can't
look
make
at
decisions.
projects and things.
look at projects. There's been one controversial
Comment.
private landholder that is kind of landlocked. And he would like the public to be able to access the property. But the SMAC says no new roads.
I see.
And so that's been trying to be hashed out for 3 years
They can address things.
and
Okay.
make recommendations. Authoritative.
Yeah, because the decision authority is that the district manager, is it not?
Well, and with the vote, I mean, it really comes back to any changes have to go clear back to Congress due to being a wilderness act. So it's very complicated to make any changes.
It is really bad.
Yeah, but like you say, the district manager would work it back up.
Callie, you may remember Hoyt Wilson's daughter. He was involved in it.
I'd
3
heard the
years.
name, but other than that, I
You know, shows how many she has a Westland, Oregon address, but it's.
Hello,
but
everyone.
it's-
Hello.
Hi, sir.
There's a clean copy of that.
Thank you.
I also, it listed appendix A, B, and C in there, and there's only one appendix, so. I heard that as well.
Yeah.
Appreciate the support. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So we'll
Well,
need to do an official motion.
Yeah.
yeah, I move to reappoint Callie Wilson to the, the Steens Mountain Advisory Committee
Second.
Council.
Been moved and seconded to reappoint Callie Wilson to the Stevens Mountain Advisory Council as one of the local. Or that the county court has the authority to support. Any further discussion?
I appreciate her stepping up to continue to serve.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
I,
We'll get a letter to Tara and. We'll look it out. bargain and sell deed. This is the one house that sold in the auction, which you're wondering what it is.
I saw Jackson Street, so maybe that was the one that had, so.
So it's sold, been paid for, this just puts it into their name with our signatures. Make the motion to approve bargain and sell deed for account number 989. And Hanson's first edition, City of Birds.
I second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the bargain and sell deed for account number 989. Land in Hanson's first edition, City of Birds. Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 And opposed.
Did you guys sign Christmas cards while I was downstairs? Okay, just check.
Oh, no.
Just check.
He thought he was hungry.
I understand.
That was maybe a smart move.
Item B. Appointment of Judge-elect Bill Hart as county registrar. So we had a little discussion, you might have been down the road.
I missed that.
Yeah, so this, every county has a registrar and it oversees public health, where they issue birth certificates, death certificates, all that.
Okay,
It does, I've never had to sign one because besides the registrar and the name, the person that's gonna get all the flack from the state, you have the deputy registrars and the lead deputy registrars. It's been Vicky Lopez, yeah, Victoria, I guess, is her real name. So that's who usually does all the work. Anyway, we have to recertify this every year. Send this in. This year, we have to send a letter along that for myself appointing, or from the court's action, appointing Bill.
okay.
Is that, does every birth certificate and death certificate go across their desk then for signature? Or just the ones that are under their treatment or?
So death certificates are signed off by medical examiners, so Dr. Leosa. And then I think they have to go in and process it into the state computer banks is what they do, and birth certificates is everything. So,
But everyone in the county,
I would think so.
You would assume so, because otherwise, like if
Yeah,
the
nowhere else.
hospital was a register, then we'd have two registers in the county. which-
I'm just.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of trying to,
Yeah, I mean.
I'm not familiar with
That
it.
is births here, they wants to go to.
And what are the, what is the clerk?
It kind of varies. So,
So does the county clerk have any role in that process?
Here's one there. Then I will sign this letter.
Signature over here, across from my name, straight across signature and date.
Right.
And then,
I'm putting it in the wrong spot.
yeah, you were down,
Yeah.
printed name of county registrar. I don't know if that means current or whatever, but anyway, the only thing I would mention too on this, I should have said something earlier, is I sign everything
I
William.
was wondering.
Does it matter if I sign it William and it says Bill or scribble
Go
out
ahead.
Bill?
I would sign it.
Okay.
Why not? They want it the other way. Okay, thank you. I was wondering that when I was typing Bill. I was gonna sign things.
I'll have to stop and think about it if you want me to sign Bill, because I'm not used to it.
When I got this position, I started signing things Patty. Before that, I was always Mary P. I just made that change. I asked it, can I start signing things that way? They said, yes, I just did.
My mom was that way. It was. She signed it, actually it was different than her birth certificate, but for years she signed a specific way. And an attorney told her that as long as that's the standard way she signed it all the time, it's fine.
The newly appointed county registrars must have the person who appointed them sign here, so that, I'm the line under that.
Yeah, that's a kind
Yeah.
of.
Congratulations.
One of the other hats. When you show up one day with all the hats.
I'll put that on my list. I'll have a bunch of them made. Go to the kiosk.
You're like, oh, excuse me, I need to change it.
An
idea.
Do that.
We could have.
Water use notices.
I can get you a t-shirt that says see above.
One for
There was
shrubs.
two, I think, there was, there's a shrub, and then on the other page, there was a Roland Tolland. I wasn't promoting that name there, but they were both issued as, certificates, so.
Recognize one name, recognize the top one name.
Yeah, 708 priority dates.
Yay. Correspondence of the attack. I didn't have anything in the packets.
Something that could possibly go under there is the county is in the process of signing an MOU with the BLM regarding the sage grouse plan. And Dominic had made some changes to the language to the MOU that they wanted signed. And so we're currently in discussion over that language. I'll keep you posted with what the final version is, but Dominic's offered to have a call with them to discuss why he wanted those changes. So that's
good.
perhaps some communication, but it just came today. So Jeff would let me know last night at the meeting that they were looking at our edits.
Dominic's, he's good at that.
Yes, he's very thorough.
Yeah. General deliberation. I guess you have dates first, regular court date of the 21st, January 4th. And I'll probably put that agenda together for the 4th. Because it's Monday, we probably want to publish it on the Friday before, this Monday being the holiday. Typically on that first, unless who knows what'll come up, but there's always annual orders in your official newspaper. Pro tem, we got very busy instead of being for Vicky. So there's some annual things that that's all I know that'll be on there, just but I'll have to put that together.
The template is already in there, ready to go.
Okay, cool. So,
Yeah, she said she was gonna work on that
Oh.
prior to going. That's what she told me.
and then you guys are gonna have pictures on third too, I believe.
Yeah, that's Billy mentioned.
Yeah.
There's a plan around that.
Yeah, he's working on the time, right? Because we want to possibly, I mean, if possible, include Judge Ratio, but
Yeah, I think
he would
been
not be
on.
available.
No, he's not.
Well, he's gotta swear somebody in up in Grant County,
Oh.
so it'll take him a bit to get here. He's figuring, we scheduled this
Some travel time.
10 o'clock.
Sorry.
So the time might shift, but we're looking at that day, right?
So she was at 10.
I think be safe, yeah.
I mean, I
That's
don't
what's
know
on
if,
his calendar.
if Carrie had to juggle and ask everyone first or not. I don't think she did. I think she just,
I think
Let
he
him know
actually
what
called down, wondering. Probably for that reason.
She had checked with us prior last time, but
not
it
this
wasn't a
time.
big
I'm
deal. I think those
available.
people are kind of, you
But
know.
at the other
aware
elected
that it's
officials that aren't newly elected, I didn't know
I
if
think
they had conflicts.
what Bobby Joe was on the ballot and
Well, I mean, Bobby Joe
Those
and we're
offices-
okay, but what about the sheriff? What about, this is the elected officials
Actually,
and,
I-
you know,
Oh,
the
the-
portrait for all of the elected officials and she may have contacted people, but I know I wasn't, and I'm available, no problem. She just said this is when it's gonna
I
happen.
had taken the liberty to call and invite. I talked to you
Yeah.
yesterday evening, to call and invite the other elected officials for 10 o'clock.
You've got it covered.
And I talked with Amy, Judge Rashido's I don't know, positions assistant or whatever. And his calendar shows 10 o'clock.
Okay,
It's always. We've always worked around in certain programs.
right, good. So. General deliberations, are we there yet?
Yep.
I don't have too much, I just have questions. Economic development, what is the current situation?
So I sent an email like I said I was gonna do, and I got a reply that. Yes, that is correct. We are advertising through. Company I had never heard of. And locally. And
This, you're talking about for the
uh,
assistant that would be here and locally?
Denise's position.
Okay.
And I was, and it said, and I'll give you a call. That was from Greg. I never got a call until I was out of town. And just took his message and he said he would call me. No, he was gonna call me Monday and I said, I'll be out of town next week. And then I've never heard from him since. So. I don't know much.
Okay,
He had let me know that he was looking for somebody to spread the word, so to speak. So I had referred one person to him, and I had heard at that time that there was one other applicant as well, that's all I know.
That's good.
We got an email today saying no CRT tonight, which we knew.
Right.
Saw that.
We've typically not been. So.
and just my thought in general for the longer term picture of you know, 5 years ago, the county court decided to work, and we included the cities to develop our expectations of what we thought was needed from an economic development office and staff. And then we RFP'd, and then we had a selection process and awarded. And it might be time to do that again. You know, we went from a certain situation, now we're in a different situation, and our expectations may change or may not, you know.
Are those expectations captured in the contract?
Yes.
You know,
And I think that
not for any
contract's gonna
reason,
come up.
except that it's good to look at it once in a while, make sure that,
I haven't seen it. That was prior to my
Okay.
time, so it'd be good to.
yeah,
take a look at
because
it.
before there wasn't a statement of work that was what we needed once we looked at it, and so we went through the process of trying to define some things which helped guide the selection process. So there's just something for the future. Elected official compensation board, that is something ORS tells counties to do every year, and it hadn't been done consistently until 3 years ago when we became aware of that requirement. So we try to do that, and because budgeting process comes up, you know, county judge / budget officer is very busy, starting after the first year, developing a budget. It's nice to have that board convene, and it may be that, you know, they just say, leave it as is, we're good, because they're now meeting consistently. But that's something to just look at as far as any thoughts you guys have on, you know, should we try to put out word to see who, you know, just it's hard to get people on that team. I don't know.
No, I think you need to go out and.
Kind of
I know.
encourage people
I
to
think you need
be on
have
it.
Even if it is like. you
Well,
said,
there-
don't change.
There was one individual
break
that
the
reached
chain.
out to me after the fact that said, oh, I was going to, and then did.
I mean,
So don't break
it's
the
only a
chain.
couple of
It's
meetings.
Been going now for 2 years, keep it going.
Are those appointments annual appointments, or are they for a term of a couple, 2-3 years?
They're-
or-
At this point, they're annual
Just-
because we have a hard time. You know, and
But last year we asked the ones that were on the first year, would you like to come back? And 2 did, 2 out of 5. And then we're able to get one third one. We were able to get last year.
the good part is it just takes a couple of meetings if they gather around the table, have materials, talk about it, think about it, and they make a recommendation. That recommendation is then considered by the budget committee. That's kind of how it works.
There'll be a budget board position open to, that'll need to be advertised for after. sometime in January, February.
Which
I'm not sure which one it is. Not sure.
you're pretty recent.
2 more years.
Okay, so it's probably all,
So is it Holly?
it's all your Terry. No, maybe it's Terry.
I was thinking Tara.
I think it's Terry.
Oh, Terry's traveling all the
Holly
time.
said she was done. and-
Well, oh, I
Well,
can't
and it's
remember
not that they're
what's,
done, just they'd have to be reappointed,
Oh,
kind of thing.
is there a limit on how many times?
By statute.
And we, you know, like to get applicants and sometimes you want, you know, sometimes you need some stability, sometimes it's time to,
due diligence.
okay. Um. Okay, and is there anything new on the Justice Center stuff since that last meeting? Okay.
Chad sent me a picture of one of the basement meeting room or classrooms, the floor is doing this.
It's doing what? Oh, wonderful.
He messaged or emailed me and I told him, I said, please let Judge Ronalds know.
I said, do you think it's,
Turn,
do you
please.
think it's from no heat in the building? He's, it could just be the water table coming back. But I'm,
No, that's
ain't no
not
water.
happening.
So I'm-
Is it
Yeah.
anywhere near that end of the building?
I'm not sure it, well. I'm not sure if it's that room or not. I'll find out.
Cause the
Because there was a light on in that end.
The
One night I
wrestlers
was-
that used to meet in there said that there was water that used to come down the wall on that far end. And they thought they had it addressed with the roof fixed, but they may or may not have got it right because we have such infrequent moisture that sometimes you don't know until you get a further dose of moisture, or a bigger amount of moisture, or different things that can occur.
Yeah, follow the Chad.
Yeah.
CIS won't insure the building.
Say that again, please.
CIS would not insure the building because there's nobody in it.
Oh,
And I talked to Patrick Priest, the head guy at AOC, and he said, well, we have other programs that we'll make sure you're covered. I said, well, I have to have something on it while we're doing remodeling and getting it going. And got an email from him saying, well, it's not something they offer in their normal lines, but they have options for us, and they would be getting in touch with our agent and making sure something. I got one email from the agent, Oregon. What's it called? It's the lowest, it's the
if you can't get insured anywhere else.
it's called Oregon Insurance Plan, Oregon, they denied it. So I'm waiting to,
So we have to put
So right
one
now,
person in there in order to get it.
we might have to.
So
Just heat a room with I mean, we have the lights on, but we trying to do a space here.
We have to.
We might
if I
have,
might ask, is the same situation gonna happen with the house?
Well,
By the health, by the,
they have a question that.
have they, is that one insured?
That's interesting.
better see.
Yeah.
Yeah, we won't rock that boat, but.
Well, and
Huh.
when we got the two from foreclosure, you know, I said, make sure these are on or we're covered for liability. You know, that's all we need. Who cares if they burn down? But it never was ever an issue. That's
Yeah,
all
'cause
we
they
need is
were
liability.
occupied.
That's all we need is liability. If somebody goes on
Yeah.
and they said, well, we can't insure. He goes, well, what's the value of the building? I said, all we have into 66,000. So that's
We're
Yeah.
not asking for
the
coverage
full coverage
of
on
that
the
at
thing.
this
So-
point.
So I'm still
Thank-
addressing those issues.
Is there an appraised value on it though?
Well,
It's not assessed.
It's gonna say the appraiser's office is saying yes.
there's the assessed value,
Not assessed, but appraised, like a commercial appraised value.
not that I'm aware.
You mean in the workup, all the documentation of the analysis, that was never anything that was kind of in the verbiage? Estimated assessed value at this time is blah, blah.
So,
Okay.
Okay, look. Unless Susan knows something.
We can sure find out.
It's not taxable.
But it should still
Probably
have,
has an appraised value.
But an appraised value is commercial for what the resale of it.
Correct.
Assessed tax value.
which I thought with the bid process, that there was something mentioned at
Could
one
be
point with
something
that. I
back in.
do not recall this. I won't say what I recall, because I'm sure there were so many numbers here then. I was thinking 250,000, but that was just something that is in my mind, could be.
That was the
accurate, could-
original amount of the estimate to do the asbestos and lead removal that is
Yeah,
now
maybe
doubled
that's
to
all I'm
500,000.
thinking of is that.
So
So-
It's sold now. I don't think I've called them until yes.
this is a motivation session for you. Just letting you know. Community-based water planning, the surface water, how's that going?
It meets on the 15th, the community center. They have some subgroups going. One of them is a new one that's agriculture and surface water management. We're having some additional folks from the community join that are new
Good.
faces in the room, so. They met once when we were at AOC, so I wasn't able to meet for that one, but we have another one with the doodle pullout that we'll see what happens if we end up meeting prior to the
Good.
full collaborative meeting, but it's still in motion.
That evening, the 15th, is also the evening of the open house for the library.
There is a ton of stuff going on.
I'm gonna go to the library open house.
Right, which, yeah,
Is it more afternoon?
No, it's 5
The 5 to 6?
to 6 or something.
I'm gonna be out of town that day, so.
and it seems like there was more than one thing double booked.
5 to 6.
5 to 6.
Should see if there's anything. Let's see.
I have a school board meeting on the 13th. Sorry, I'm not going to the water based.
Well, yeah, the full collaborative is 5 to 8 on the 15th. The Crane Christmas program is Wednesday, the 14th.
Okay.
It's the Crane. There is the virtual wildfire meeting for AOC
On the
on
13th.
the 13th at
I'm gonna
10.
try to zoom.
What's that?
Did you go to that session at AOC where we had the panel from Senate Bill 762? This might be a good one to zoom into. Did Brandon Persinger send you that link at all?
I haven't seen it.
Okay, I'll forward it to you then.
It's a Zoom meeting.
It's one of those things like. I'll just be honest, I don't see them answering any more questions than what they did at the AOC meeting. We'll just put it that way.
You know,
It's a very disappointing. It's the
Well,
fire map
the-
stuff, but the county piece still, like, they're just skirting around. How we ground truth at the county level. And so that is what was supposed to have came out of the AOC's meeting. And Senator Golden chose to take up the last 15 minutes instead of let us have that discussion. And that's why we're having an additional meeting so that we can have our question and answer session that we were supposed to have there.
I knew you had been pretty vested in that, so it's the.
Yeah, and I'll continue to, yeah, like I say, if you're interested at all, but otherwise.
I can forward that, the link or whatever.
Yeah, I will forward it to you, just. I say, there's not necessarily a path forward on some of that.
Vic. Lou's
Vic,
Intergovernmental Council.
Yeah, was that last week? Man, time flies. The end of November, Vic met in John Day. We discussed a lot of the public comment sessions that had been held throughout the state.
I saw a nice summary today from that.
Yeah, he just sent the
Doctor.
summary from that meeting. We're gonna go back to the subcommittee for the grazing and aquatics, which Todd Nash and myself and Calla Hagel from the tribe chaired. And just review one of the comments that came from the public meetings and try to develop one other sentence for our desired conditions to assure that our standards and guides are in line with our desired conditions that were brought forward.
And I know some of the other things, I zoomed in for as much as I could before the Zoom didn't work.
Yeah, I'd seen you on
Yeah, I saw you.
Zoom, and then we broke for lunch and then.
Yeah, I couldn't get back on. So other topics in general were the public's main concern is access.
Yeah.
The public wants to be involved at the right junctures, whether it's with the BIC or the planning. And so, you know,
And
and
travel management and the BIC process are getting, from the public, it's very
Getting
confusing, super confusing. Because these forests have not engaged in travel management. There's certain forests that have. The Malheur is one that hasn't. There's some others that haven't, and so access is a very small piece of the forest plan because it's supposed to be addressed in a travel management plan. And
Okay.
that part is difficult because a lot of the comments with the original objections with the forest plan were around access, and that's why some desired conditions around access were developed, put in the plan, but it's not meant to address the full scope of travel management, and that's where people are really having a hard time understanding that as soon as the forest plan is done, they have been given a directive to engage in travel management. But until the forest plan is done, they aren't going to engage in travel management.
It's that interim time that we have to be careful about, because I've seen in the past in other areas where a resource management plan for public lands is put into effect without a travel management plan being completed, and it'll be mentioned in the RMP being conducted at a later date. So they'll implement travel restrictions or regulations interim until that travel management plan is done. So you
So are
have to
those
be-
considered project level though? Like at what stage would those be designated to? See, I'm just wondering, you know.
did they do it
like,
at the project
how-
level or?
How
the
would
part-
we know if something like that were to be put out there? Is that something that?
Well, it should be done, you mean
A
as far as
scope-
notification?
Yeah, would that be a scoping?
Yes, yeah,
Okay,
it'll follow the same type of a
Guidelines.
process of the scoping and public comment periods and everything. It's the same NEPA process, basically.
well, that was my assumption, but I just want
Yeah.
to clarify that.
Yeah,
That, you know, we'd still have an
And whoever-
opportunity to engage in that.
whoever the presiding district or,
Well, usually it's
Forest
district,
or
but it's
whatever.
signed off by the supervisor. you know.
yeah, is the one that will manage it or.
Okay. Yeah, we'll keep an eye out for that as we proceed.
So I saved the best one for last. River Democracy Act.
Did you all see the email?
Oh, it's dead.
No, did you see the
No.
email?
Oh, yeah.
No, maybe I didn't.
From
One
Jacob
today?
Oh,
Adler
yes.
Yesterday. I have not even.
Well,
had a
wait, I
chance
saw
to
one
get into the
that
middle of it.
Didn't sound like it was
It's a
dead.
new
no,
Rivers
it's not.
Democracy Act. It went from
Kidding.
4,700 acres to 3,200 acres. Or miles, sorry, miles of river included in the new act, because he's now gone out and did a lot more public comment. And
Yay.
we've given so much more
Here he is.
input.
See the quotes from Lau County.
Oh, they were fried.
Mhm.
Is that for wild and scenic rivers?
So, the FOIA request from the original one for the Forest Service has still not been. It's in court, being battled over, because the documents have never been provided. for the FOIA.
What happened
the
is
original one.
this River Democracy Act that Senator Wyden is a champion of, et cetera, and supposedly had so many Oregonians wanting it and all this. When it came down to areas such as ours, we asked to see the maps. We asked because there wasn't engagement here, not known to us. Maybe there've been a few individuals somewhere
It's mostly
that-
Bend.
that's not, you know, and they did not provide, they would not provide, they would schedule a session for commissioners to speak, and then they would cancel it. I mean, it was obstruction or not caring to engage us. And I even was on a Zoom meeting, town hall, when Senator Wyden was there, and I mean, it was a Zoom, but I just put it in the chat, you know, I didn't. And I just said, because there weren't that many people on the Zoom, and they were all pro, yay, Harney County Democrats, no offense, but that was mostly the Harney County Democrats. And I said, the county commissioners sought many times to engage with your staff, with you, to get the maps, and we never got them. Would you please comment? And whoever was managing that meeting, a staffer, said, there is a comment about such and such, and got a non-answer, and I later did get a text from one of the other people attending, said, oh, I was surprised to hear that, because he didn't say we did engage them, he just said a non-answer. And I said, we were not engaged after multiple requests seeking to be engaged. So that's what bothers me, is the transparency in the process. Why'd you hold the maps for so long? Why couldn't we see in our county, in our region? Now there's maps.
Yes,
And
they
then you go,
attach
where's the
maps
squiggly
with,
line? Okay, which color? But anyway, I don't know what your guys' thoughts. I just know that it's risen up
Not in
yet.
support.
Pardon me?
Not in support.
Rises from the ashes.
those designations bring with them a whole other gamut of access, of use.
Additional management plans have to be developed when we're already tasked to a level where we can't even produce all the management plans that are currently requested of the department or agencies. It's a heavy lift.
I mean, we
for
even
those
wanted to see if
agencies.
the designated river areas are even rivers areas here. Sometimes it's nothing.
Well, a
It's
lot of-
like, there might have been a river there in the 1940s, but there's nothing there but dirt right
Or
now.
it's like on the east side of the Steed, it's a runoff. Creek that's there in the spring and it's
It's
gone. by
already
June and July.
under protection. We don't need another layer of protection over protection.
So anyway, that's,
Of course, on to chunk again. They're one of the commenters. We've worked for 37 years to protect streams and et cetera, in the high desert.
Yeah. It's
Is it a stream or a drainage?
right. There's a
Yeah.
difference.
There's a difference.
There's no aesthetic value with the drainage.
Well, but we do know that Vince's office is watching
They
watching
are-
it closely, so.
It'll still have to go through committee. We may end up going out and testifying against the original plan was. Let's keep it on our radar and, Oregon Cattlemen's has been emailing me about it too, so.
that's all the questions I had.
You want to glance this over
What is?
Treasure Valley's contract?
Oh,
It
yes,
is-
please.
It is the same.
Um,
It's been the same for several years, and so it's been through two county councils. I have not seen this particular one, too, obviously.
Okay. That's it. That's real quick. Get my cataracts off in January, guys. I hope it will help. Well, I'm really pleased with them. They've stepped up
They've-
to be worth the money compared to a time when they were.
At the
Okay.
NRAC meeting, there was a opportunity for the Forest Service to address the conditions of concerns brought by Mr. Smith. Bill was in attendance last night as we went through the document. I'm supposed to be getting a digital copy of it. If you want, I can make a copy of this, or I can just forward you the digital copy when it comes, but he took Mr. Smith's questions and just added the comments and
Oh, good.
answers to that. He also provided, which I thought was very useful in the conversation, a table that talked about the actual timber receipts estimate versus our SRS payments that are received, and it's a great way to be able to see,
What's
what the
happening?
7-year rolling average with SRS does for us versus the other.
Good.
We talked briefly about Title I and Title II funds. Obviously, Title I funds are what our schools and roads are funded by, so. I'll, like I say,
Appreciate,
send that on And he said, you know, if there's any further questions, more than happy to answer them from anybody, so.
Great.
So, Title I fund schools and roads, does that money, that 1 million something there, does that get cut up then and part of it go to roads and part of it go to the school budget?
And part of it goes to the general fund.
Not SRS.
No SRS goes? Oh, I thought a certain percentage did.
Since I didn't recall seeing that number in the budget
It
process.
comes in,
Is it 75-25?
Right.
Okay.
it comes in,
I
it's a
took that on
million,
my
300 and some thousand, and this 25% of the schools gets taken off. And distributed, and then the rest goes into it's one line in the road department revenue. Nothing. That's why.
I thought
a lot
when
of years
Bobby Joe
ago-
talked to me, that part of it did, but maybe I misunderstood her.
No, and what, just refresh, what was Title II again?
He said title.
I don't think it's
two.
for sort of project,
Yeah, that it,
certain amount of money they get to work with. And they used to come to us and say, these are what we have lined out, could be Title II projects, what would the court like to see?
yeah, he
That
said,
doesn't happen.
youth program
Sure.
and special fencing projects are types of Title II, so some of the
Something-
youth core
That's.
work is under the Title II funds. And he said he wasn't as familiar with the Title III funds and that he's never dealt with any Title III. But that there's a 45-day comment period when you do use Title III funds, but he didn't have a lot of more depth on Title III. He wasn't as familiar with it.
And there used to be, or there's been a thing where you could sign and not accept the money. Or put it all into Title II, and I did not, last 2 years I have signed it, no, keep ours as is. We need it for the road department.
The election period was coming up, didn't you say, of electing which type,
You're talking about the Taylor Grazing Act stuff?
No,
No, I just
Just
sent that
this-
into Brandon's. The fall. Late summer.
yeah, I don't recall him saying that
I
it
thought you
was
said
coming
something
up.
about the county election timeframe, or I can.
Yeah, I don't recall that, but not to say, don't say, there was a lot of, lot of
And-
information.
And maybe Brandon was just ahead of the game. It might be that, but I put ours in. Leave us alone, leave us the same, we need to for our roads.
Taylor Grazing Act, did they have the meeting? Have they, when did, can you
No, in fact,
provide a little bit for Bill?
Jamie McCormick visited with me about it recently and said that they are ready to bring some potential projects. I asked her if there have been any bills sent to the county from the last time that we'd met, and she said, no, actually, we haven't had anything that we haven't been able to cover some other way. And so all the projects that we discussed last year, when we did it, we haven't had anything be spent on those projects.
Did they get accomplished?
Some of them have, some of them haven't. And so, I was gonna ask you guys, you know, now that we do have the NRAC going and stuff, would you want the NRAC to be part of that Taylor grazing conversation and bring recommendations to the court after discussion with those BLM folks? Would you want to keep doing it like we've done it? Because we haven't had a
I'd like
ton
to
of.
do both. I'd
We
like.
haven't had a
NRAC to
ton of
be-
permittees. You know, we could have a joint meeting, you know, like, and involve that body, but we haven't had a ton of permittees as we held those.
As
It's
far as
been-
I
and
know.
I know at least one of the permittees that had been is no longer on that place anymore, and so.
Since in the 5-6 years I've been there, been only, it seems like only some people either really know about it and tend to have projects, or, you know, I don't know what the proper way is. I'm happy for the NRAC to
We have some latitude to
be
decide
part
what to
of
do.
what comes to the court, but we basically sit in at the annual meeting with
With Jeff and with.
BLM and hear about
Jamie.
projects. So I don't know if people directly go to them. Do they come through
They-
us to go to
So
them?
when they meet with their permittees, they come up with a list, and she said it took them a little while, for whatever reason this year to finalize that list, and then I just told her, you know, let's,
don't know.
and then I said, well, have any of the projects that we had talked about been billed to us? And I just said no. I said, well, if we need to rethink how we're doing it then a little bit, or maybe have a little more discussion so we can maybe have a little more accountability of if we're gonna do projects, making sure that
Well, I know
things are
that
happening,
the
or check-in points
I
that
think
we
you-
can do.
Because you got your committees and range checks and everybody that.
That
I think if you open it up,
Compiled that,
I think if you open it up to the INRAC, you're gonna have. It's gonna take more discussion, more delays and more.
okay.
I don't think it'd be any different than, how Jamie comes and, that's all that occurs. It's basically Jamie comes
We
and presents
usually
what they did.
go to the BLM and have a meeting once a year, and we usually go and their staff, and it's good. It's our one time a year to engage with them on that, but it's always seems in the last few years as sort of an afterthought. Not that it is, but maybe, all the stuff they've got on their plate.
Well,
It's
and
like, oops,
some
we
of
gotta do
those
that.
funds, we're also looking at, we
But some,
redirected to predator control, which does take place on federal lands, and so.
so we get a check each year. Taylor Grazing Act, and this county is continually set it aside to work on
It's
it.
a percentage of the grazing fees, isn't it, permit fees?
And it has its own fund and it's been used just for this purpose here.
We honor the
A lot of
intent
counties- A
of
lot
it.
of counties, but it's in their general fund, and too bad.
Yeah.
I think it's important that we leave it there and use it for those purposes. However you decide on the jobs and stuff, and projects is fine. That's just my business. But I won't not worry about it.
No, I think it's good the way it's being used, the way it's set up. When I saw it on the budget coming from the BLM and coming from Nevada where it was previously at, I was like, what are these funds? I didn't get what that was. So they obviously there don't use it the way we use it here, and I think it's better.
But just hand it to me.
Nothing
Nothing big.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks.
Better service.
Yeah, so maybe,
You guys can have that discussion.
yeah, we'll tee it up with Jamie to do
That's what it
that.
starts.
I think it's a good
Be early
opportunity.
February, so you have a few minutes to get settled, and then
This is probably
It's about the only time we all
it's the
freak out.
best committee to be on, meets once a year.
well, and it's not, like I
And that
say,
doesn't even happen.
they already have their list of projects. I mean, really are.
You're just
our
giving it the
list,
blessing.
Just saying, here's how much funds we've set aside in the budget for this, because now I did tell her, we are using some of those funds for predator control. And so, obviously, they haven't used any
There's-
funds out of it from the other projects, and so
Yeah, there's got to be close to
those are
75
things
to 100,000.
we need to, just come with our numbers on our side of what's still available and what we've actually put in the budget to be expended, and
I missed the part, how do the projects come forth from the?
so when they do their,
permittees?
yeah, when they do their permit renewal plans, that's when those projects are discussed, and
A lot of guzzlers. a lot of
what Jamie really
costs.
looks at is things that are cost savings to the BLM, because if they're not BLM funds, they don't have to be
So we
designated the
we-
same.
drilled wells out of it to where it's being a bit, and it
They've
stays
done
making
a
and
lot
all
of
the
them.
On
higher.
public lands?
Yeah,
So we used it this way. We know it'll be around it.
yeah, if we cover some of those costs out of that fund, then it doesn't cost the project as much in the end. So they try to use some of our funds strategically depending on the projects. But I say, just, they haven't billed us for any of the projects.
A question on this upcoming state legislative session. Are you, Commissioner Shulman, have you had any discussions yet to see if whatever the legislation was that prohibited counties from being able to create their own predator control district? Remember they axed that, so can't do it anymore. And it was sort of a retaliatory move in some people's opinion. So, is that even something that you're gonna be asking our legislators look at, or is that just too
Not
hard?
currently, until we can find some support with all the freshman legislators and kind of get a feel for them, I don't think it'd be worth our time bringing up in this session. Once you kind of understand. If there is support for those type of things out there, then we could bring it forward, but right now we're battling the commission over the coyote contest petition that's being heard on December 16th, so.
I just hate when the state decides to preclude counties from making some decisions at their local level.
No,
for
it was
things
a perfect
such as a
opportunity
predator
to
control
do that. Yeah.
district makes sense in Harney
All they
County,
had to
might not
do
make sense somewhere else.
Remove a sunset was all they had to do.
Yeah.
It
Okay,
became
I just
gameplay.
Didn't know if that was even something that's being looked
Not
at
unless
anymore.
another legislator is reintroducing it. There could be some, because everything's in legislative concept still, and so Rocky will let us know if somebody actually does turn that into a bill form and bring it forward, but I am not aware of any at this point. Thank you. It would be a nice option to have.
I think, I'm not sure, maybe on the 21st, we might have audit presentation.
Of a what?
The
Oh,
audit,
that would be good.
it's in its final stages. I've done my letter part. I know it hasn't been, I know they haven't asked yet when to come to present, but I would like to see them look into the year.
So Bill, for some years in the past, we weren't getting our audits in a timely fashion, and we are now. We have different auditor and we have different circumstances, and I've been very pleased the last year or two. We've had good audits and we've had them in a timely fashion, and
It's supposed to
have
be done
had-
by the end of the year.
Yeah,
It's June 30th. It's a cutoff there. 16.
so that would be awesome if they're going to
Hopefully it's
present
continued.
then. Let the budget committee come. Any? Yeah. Just like to compliment the county employees for very nice Christmas decorations,
Yeah.
holiday decorations here. Very nice.
Okay. Nothing else. We will adjourn, then we'll sign cards.
Executives. Session.
Oh, that's right. You need to call an executive session. Yes. Came up during the day.
In the meantime, I'd like to thank the court for including me in the part of the conversations.
So do one more going into executive session under ORS 119.60. A, to consider employment of a public officer, employee, staff member, or individual. Adjourn. Recess into.
Text if you want.
Well.
It is 3:34 PM. The county court is out of executive session with no decisions made. Meeting adjourned.